What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 3SM Chapter 41 The Assessment Begins, Fushiguro's Envy. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Gojo Satoru grinned and put his arms on the shoulders of Lu Ming and Fushiguro Megumi. They are all very mature jujutsu masters, so they don't need an entrance test. After all, this level of curse is too easy for Lu Ming and Wei. Lu Ming was naturally noncommittal about Gojo Satoru's arrangements. Later, Gojo Satoru handed the cursed tool to Itadori Yuji. Currently, you who swallowed Sukuna's finger are already half a curse. It is not difficult to exorcise the cursed spirit, however, the control of the curse power cannot be mastered casually. So, just use this short sword. Kujisaki Nobara saw the appearance of the short sword and shook his head disdainfully. The soil is exploding, hurry up and follow. Then she tied her belt back on, counted her weapons, and walked towards the abandoned building. Oh yes. Yuji. Gojo Satoru's voice sounded again. You can't release Sukuna. Although releasing him will instantly kill all the curses, it will affect nearby humans. Itadori Yuji nodded confidently, turned around and trotted into the building with Kujisaki Nobara. Having seen the special cursed spirit, Itadori Yuji already looked down upon the ordinary cursed spirit. Okay, let's take a rest here and wait for the results. Gojo Satoru directly found a place to sit on the floor. I'd better follow him. Fushiguro Megumi was a little worried. No need, you have just recovered. But, Itadori still needs someone to keep an eye on her. Yes, but this time it's not Itadori who's being tested, it's Wild Rose. Advertisement. As soon as Gojo Satoru finished speaking, Lu Ming started to move. Lu Ming. Where are you going? Seeing Lu Ming suddenly walking towards the building, Gojo Satoru smiled and asked casually. Go and see a good show, it's too boring outside. Lu Ming stretched out and waved his hand. As a senior, he had to be more involved in the life of brother Huzi, who was also a work of Kensuo. After Lu Ming disappeared into the abandoned building, Gojo Satoru crossed his legs and supported his chin with one hand. What a funny guy. Fushiguro Megumi on the side also had a trace of envy on his face when he saw Lu Ming being so casual. His life is full of constraints and burdened with expectations, and he cannot be as free as Lu Ming. After hesitating for a moment, Fushiguro Megumi looked at Gojo Satoru aside and said, Teacher Gojo, if Lu Ming appears, this test will be completely useless, right? Besides, Kujisaki-san has exorcised curse before, why do you need to test it specially today? Facing the question from his good student, Gojo Satoru picked his ears. It's okay, Lu Ming won't mess around. Gojo Satoru and Lu Ming reached a very strange tacit understanding and balance. Although the two did not communicate, Gojo Satoru knew that Lu Ming must understand the purpose of his assessment this time. With Lu Ming joining, he might be able to save a little more effort. As for why we need to assess Wild Rose, facing the alien-like curse, not everyone is as neurotic as Itadori. Gojo Satoru pointed to his head, chuckled and said, Itadori, this place is quite crazy. It fits the temperament of a jujutsu master. Even if he is facing an alien, a creature with a biological form that wants to kill him, he will destroy it without hesitation. This is a very rare trait. Unlike you, he has been exposed to curse since he was a child. He is a boy living an ordinary high school life. Advertisement. You have also seen jujutsu masters who are talented, but cannot overcome this disgust and fear, and are frustrated and despairing in the middle. In this entrance test today, I just want to confirm how crazy Kujisaki Nobara is. Fushiguro Megumi nodded. Indeed, when Itadori Yuji was an ordinary person, he dared to face curse with him, as if he was born without a fearful nerve. Even if he faces a more terrifying curse in the future, he will not worry that Itadori Yuji will fall into fear. If there is one more student in the first grade, there will be one more power when it comes to exorcising curse in the future. I hope Kujisaki Nobara can pass the assessment smoothly this time. In an abandoned building, Kujisaki Nobara walked boldly and looked unlucky. Depressed. Why do you have to deal with curse when you come to Tokyo? It's so annoying. Itadori Yuji, who was following closely behind her, looked confused when he heard this. Huh? Aren't you here to exorcise curse? Kujisaki Nobara's figure was fixed, and he glanced sideways at Itadori Yuji, with a trace of disdain flashing in his eyes. Troublesome. I'm from above, you are from below. Hurry up and finish the assessment, let's go eat. Kujisaki Nobara's tone was full of casualness, which made Itadori Yuji feel uncomfortable. The tone was also casual. When Lu Ming spoke, what Itadori felt was his indifference to everything, a sense of being at the top and looking down from above. However, what Kujisaki Nobara made him feel was a kind of contempt for curse, a kind of casualness without taking it seriously. Advertisement. Wait a minute. Kujisaki-san, let's be serious. Curse is very dangerous. Thinking of Sukuna in his body, the special cursed spirit that appeared in school before, and Lizi behind Lu Ming, Itadori Yuji has a very high understanding of curse or cursed spirit. After all, Itadori Yuji has encountered more special grade cursed spirits than ordinary cursed spirits he has seen so far. However, what he didn't expect was that his kind reminder directly caused Kujisaki Nobara's expression to change. Kujisaki Nobara, who was standing high up, actually kicked him directly. You were just an ordinary person not long ago, how could you have the face to talk to me? Hurry up and look down there, snort. After saying that, she turned around and went upstairs. Itadori Yuji, who is known as the Tiger of the West, looked aggrieved. He didn't expect that his kind reminder would end up giving him such a kick. The Kujisaki Nobara in front of him is the most violent girl he has ever seen in his life. I don't understand. What's wrong with you? Kujisaki Nobara continued to go upstairs, without looking back, and directly replied. That's why you have no luck with women. Itadori Yuji suddenly felt an arrow hit his knee and almost lost his balance. Why do you know that I have no luck with women? After speaking, Itadori Yuji complained. Then you think you are very popular? Violent woman, damn it. After patting the dust on his uniform, Itadori Yuji was about to go downstairs to explore, but then, he felt a spell coming from above his head. Receipt. Do you need it? As the hoarse voice sounded, Itadori Yuji drew out the cursed tool to kill the sitting demon with extremely quick reaction, lifted it up directly, and cut off the cursed spirit's arm. The next second, he saw a very stupid alien cursed spirit falling to the ground with a crooked mouth. Chapter 42 Women. Intuition is really scary. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Slide, shovel, tilt, jump, pierce. In just 30 seconds, Itadori Yuji had stabbed the Tuzu demon into Curse's head, exorcising Curse, who was still shouting, "Receipt. Do you want it? Even to death?" Lu Ming, who was watching everything in the shadows, applauded secretly. Very wonderful. Itadori Yuji is more mature this time than in the original work. After seeing many special level cursed spirits, these 3rd and 4th level cursed spirits are indeed no match for Itadori Yuji. Let's pay attention to Wild Rose. Brother Huzi's body, even without the cursed tool, is probably capable of fighting Curse hand to hand. Close black lens bracket. Lu Ming smiled, his figure reflected in the shadow. What? Did you work as an accountant before? Do you want a receipt? Why, don't you know that receipts cannot be reimbursed? Itadori Yuji touched his nose, a trace of pride flashed in his eyes. I'm quite fast. This was the first time he had personally exorcised the cursed spirit. This feeling of eliminating harm for the people made him feel great. At the same time, on the roof of the building, Kujisaki Nobara has also used nails to pierce the face of the dummy curse, completing the exorcism. Then, Kujisaki Nobara was startled by the sound behind the box, thinking there were other curses. Advertisement. But when she saw the child hiding behind the box, she breathed a sigh of relief. What? It turns out to be a child. Did he sneak in to play? While muttering to himself, Kujisaki Nobara showed a self-righteous expression, approached the boy, and said softly. Okay, it's okay. Come out. What surprised her was that the boy shook his head tremblingly, but he just didn't want to come out. Being rejected by the boy, Kujisaki Nobara felt hurt inside and quickly comforted himself. It turns out that the saying that children don't get close to beautiful women is true. Forget it. Call Itadori. That fool seems to be quite friendly. Curse has been exorcised anyway. After saying that, Kujisaki Nobara turned around and prepared to leave. In the shadows on the side, seeing Kujisaki Nobara relax his vigilance, Lu Ming shook his head lightly. Kujisaki Nobara is still a little too simple. Curse will be born from the hearts of people, proportional to the population. The more people in the area, the curse will grow and become stronger. Can Wild Rose understand this? The levels of local curse and Tokyo curse are different. The moment he turned around, the boy shouted in horror, etc. Then, Kujisaki Nobara felt a breath of curse coming from behind. She turned her head instantly and saw the boy being grabbed by a spherical curse covered in long brown hair, with 2 bulging eyes and a green nose. This curse grabbed the boy's head with his right hand and lifted him up, and pressed the sharp black nails of his left hand on the boy's neck. The boy's bright red blood flowed out from the punctured nail. Looking at the boy's distorted face, Kujisaki Nobara's expression suddenly became very ugly. Advertisement. This curse has wisdom. Yes, there's wisdom. Briar Rose, what should you do? Even if cursed spirit has levels, it is not simply based on the total amount of curse power. Close black lens bracket. Tokyo's cursed spirit is much more cunning than local cursed spirit. The cursed spirit, possessing wisdom, now sets the cruel balance for you. Close black lens bracket. Putting your life and that of this boy on the balance, how should you choose, Kujisaki Nobara-san? Close black lens bracket. Even in such a critical situation, Lu Ming still watched everything leisurely. He was confident that the boy's death could be prevented, and at the same time, he knew Gojo Satoru was confident as well. So, this is an assessment of Kujisaki Nobara. Gojo Satoru wants to see how she breaks the deadlock and how she makes choices. As for myself, I am looking forward to what Brother Huzi will do next. Will Brother Huzi and Wild Rose, the happy enemies, still cooperate like in the original work? Damn it. Kujisaki Nobara's eyes widened and he gritted his teeth as he looked at the ugly curse in front of him. He lost all of the ladylike demeanor he had maintained before. This curse is nothing at all. It's a level 3 curse. That's why hostages were used as threats. Close black lens bracket. I want to calm down. If I die, then the child will die too. Close black lens bracket. Think rationally, Wild Rose. Close black lens bracket. You also have your own life. Isn't it worth giving up yourself for a boy you've never met before? Close black lens bracket. Kujisaki Nobara seemed to be trying to convince herself to be selfish, but in the next second, the hammer and nails in her hands had been thrown directly to the ground. I have no weapons, let go of that kid. Kujisaki Nobara made what he thought was the stupidest choice. When Curse saw this scene, he grinned, narrowed his eyes, and showed no intention of moving his nails away. I'm such an idiot. Look, this Curse has no intention of letting anyone go. Close black lens bracket. I still want to see Shaori again. Close black lens bracket advertisement. Kujisaki Nobara's past experiences of playing with Saori came to mind. Saori, a girl from Tokyo, was her best childhood memory. The reason why she came to Tokyo was to live her own life, and also to see Saori again. Is this the marquee before death? Close black lens bracket. Kujisaki Nobara was very depressed, but in the process of recalling, she suddenly noticed something strange in the shadow next to her. If she hadn't entered this state, she would never have noticed that there was an extra shadow on the wall beside her. This is the aura I felt from Lu Ming before. There, it's Lu Ming. Close black lens bracket. Lu Ming, when are you ready to watch the show? Kujisaki Nobara opened her eyes suddenly and yelled at the wall. She didn't know if Lu Ming was there, but this was her last hope. The air suddenly became quiet. Frightened by Wild Rose's roar, the spherical curse was stunned for a moment, and followed Wild Rose's gaze towards the wall. Then, the shadow on the wall began to twist, and Lu Ming stepped out of the shadow. Hey, he was discovered. Originally, Lu Ming just wanted to watch the show and wait for Brother Huzi to take action. Unexpectedly, his hiding was discovered by Kujisaki Nobara. Women are truly terrifying creatures. Now that he was discovered, he couldn't continue to watch. Kujisaki-san, it seems you are in trouble. Lu Ming's casual tone made Kujisaki Nobara furious. Didn't this young man with white hair and sunglasses realize the danger of the situation? Save people first. Kujisaki Nobara was just about to get angry, but then she felt a strong curse breath coming from behind Lu Ming. Is this a special curse? Why? Why is there such a powerful cursed spirit hidden in this abandoned building? Chapter 43. Itadori is late. Wild Rose's delusion. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Kujisaki Nobara is a little desperate. In this case, even if Lu Ming appears, the three of them have no chance of survival, right? In front of the special curse, even Mr. Gojo outside might not be able to save them in time, right? Kujisaki Nobara never thought that on his first day in Tokyo, he would die in the mission of exorcising curse. I haven't seen Saori yet. However, what Wild Rose didn't realize was that at the same time, under the influence of the special cursed spirit breath, the spherical curse that controlled cognition was also stiff. It felt the invisible special grade cursed spirit lock onto itself, preventing it from harming the boy in its hands. Boom! Suddenly, there was a sound on the wall behind the spherical cursed spirit, and a fist punched directly through the wall. Hey, you missed the target? Damn, it's another alien cursed spirit, damn it. As Itadori Yuji's voice sounded, the entire wall was directly knocked open by Itadori, dust rose up, and sand and gravel flew everywhere. Itadori Yuji came handsomely and appeared in the room. The moment Itadori appeared, Kujisaki Nobara felt that the aura of special curse disappeared inexplicably. Chang, the protagonist is late, but the protagonist has also appeared. Lu Ming joked, and Lizi, who had emerged from the shadow, instantly sank back. Brother Huzi appears, and he can continue watching the show. Itadori Yuji, who appeared last, was full of fighting spirit. Under the attack of Tsuzuomo, he cut off the spherical curse's arm with a knife, saved the boy, and kicked curse down. Because Lizi's aura disappeared, The spherical curse finally took back control of his body and disappeared directly into the wall to escape. Advertisement, it's running away, Itadori Yuji shouted. Although Kujisaki Nobara didn't understand what happened, she still locked onto curse, which put her in a dilemma. Itadori, throw that arm to me. The spherical curse has jumped out of the wall and into the air. Fushiguro Megumi, who was waiting outside the building, looked up and subconsciously made a bird-like hand shadow, preparing to summon new. I'll destroy it. Gojo Satoru shook his head calmly and stopped Fushiguro Megumi. Hold on. Inside the room, Kujisaki Nobara threw a small straw doll on the ball-shaped curse's broken arm, squatted down suddenly, made a fist with his left hand, and clamped an iron nail between his fingers. A dark blue curse visible to the naked eye escapes from the top of the iron nail. Kujisaki Nobara's eyes were full of fierceness, the cult soul spell. The moment his voice fell, the iron nail with magical power in his left hand was instantly released. While falling, it was hit hard by the hammer in his right hand and nailed to the scarecrow's heart. Resonance. The curse on the nail began to pour into the straw doll's body. At the same time, the spherical cursed spirit leaping in midair let out a painful roar. The heart was pierced by a foreign object and was exorcised directly in midair. Not bad. Although there is a slight flaw that made Lu Ming take action, it is still quite crazy. The assessment is considered passed. Advertisement. Inside the house. The voodoo doll is really a fresh attack method. Lu Ming applauded to express the novelty. It was indeed much more shocking to watch it in person than to read the original comic. Hey, Lu Ming, you're here too. That means I didn't realize it was wrong just now. It was Lizi just now. Haha, I just arrived too. Yuji, that slash just now was really cool. If you hadn't appeared, I feel like this kid would be really in danger. Lu Ming said haha and changed the topic directly. This is a good opportunity for the relationship between Brother Huzzy and Wild Rose to heat up. How can I intervene as a third party? I didn't do anything just now, I was just a small audience member who could only applaud. What? Kujisaki Nobara had just been caught up in the memories of Yarn and didn't hear clearly what Itadori Yuji was saying. He is still alive, and he can still see Shaori. However, she still has doubts. She clearly felt the aura of the special curse in this abandoned building. Why has it disappeared now? Did he run away because he was afraid of Itadori Yuji? It shouldn't be. With the strength of the three of them, they shouldn't be able to defeat the special ones. Seeing the frightened expression on Kujisaki Nobara's face, Itadori Yuji immediately began to preach. Didn't I tell you earlier, it's very dangerous to move on your own, so be careful, Kujisaki-san. After hearing the sermon, Kujisaki Nobara's expression suddenly changed. You didn't say it was dangerous to act alone, also, did you just feel the pressure of the special curse? Itadori Yuji was a little doubtful about himself due to Kujisaki Nobara's confident retort. Didn't I say that? Advertisement? The pressure of special curse? No. After these days of getting along and learning, Itadori Yuji has understood that Lizi is Lu Ming's technique, so he does not associate Lizi with the curse mentioned by Kujisaki Nobara. No, Kujisaki Nobara looked hesitant. Could it be because he was caught in memories and his consciousness was a little confused? But it shouldn't be. My perception has always been very keen. She subconsciously took a step forward and continued to want to say something. However, when she let down her guard, she stepped on a sharp gravel and her foot twisted suddenly. It hurts, it hurts. The pain in his sprained foot instantly distorted Kujisaki Nobara's beautiful face. While standing on one foot, she looked at the source of the rubble, the wall smashed by Itadori, and she immediately became furious. By the way, what did you eat when you were growing up? How could you blow up the wall with your bare hands? Being accused by Kujisaki Nobara, Itadori Yuji felt very innocent and pointed at the wall and said confidently. Because there are no steel bars inside, huh? Kujisaki Nobara opened his mouth slightly and raised his eyebrows. Even if there are no steel bars, ordinary people can't do it, right? Lu Ming looked at the two people arguing, smiled silently, disappeared into the shadows, and left first. Sure enough, because of my appearance, the world line has also shifted slightly, close black lens bracket. In the original work, Brother Huzzy should not have appeared so late. I think these are butterfly wings. Itadori Yuji just had some changes in his mentality, which ultimately affected the changes in the details of the original main plot. Close black lens bracket. Lu Ming smiled and shook his head. Forget it, I'm getting along quite happily with Brother Huzzy at the moment, so I'd better help the protagonists as much as possible. After all, I may have to stay in a high school for a while in the future. Close black lens bracket. The protagonist group still has to undergo a series of tests. Well, I also have to improve my strength. Next time, I'd better try Fushiguro Megumi's mission. He can only summon Jade Dog and Nu. How can he have the nerve to say that he has mastered the shadow spell? Close black lens bracket. Chapter 44. I just corrected the main plot previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement, Lu Ming. Where are Itadori and Kujisaki-san? Seeing Lu Ming walking out of the building, Fushiguro Megumi asked directly. Oh, Kujisaki-san has sprained his ankle, and his relationship with Yuji is warming up. Let's wait outside. Lu Ming smiled and came to Fushiguro Megumi's side. Fushiguro-kun, how could you let Mr. Gojo sit on the ground? This does not reflect the respect for teachers as a high school student at all. After being teased by Lu Ming, Fushiguro Megumi realized that Gojo Satoru had been sitting on the ground and stood up subconsciously. However, the next second, Lu Ming, who had been shouting about respecting teachers just now, lay down on the long stone bench. Well, I'm so tired. Take a rest, take a rest. Suddenly, Gojo Satoru, who was about to refuse, and Fushiguro Megumi, who was about to give up his seat, both had black lines on their faces and fell into silence. Lu Ming, did you take action just now? Fushiguro Megumi and Gojo Satoru both felt Riko's aura outside the building. Although it was very weak, it did appear. Huh? It doesn't count. I just slightly revised the main plot. Lu Ming replied lazily while basking in the sun. Main plot? Faced with this strange answer, Fushiguro Megumi didn't know how to complain. It's not a game. What's the main mission? Realizing that Lu Ming was perfunctory with him, Fushiguro Megumi stopped asking for trouble. Advertisement, by the way, why did you come to Jujutsu High School? In the building, Itadori Yuji carried Kujisaki Nobara on his back and led the boy down the stairs step by step. Because I hate the countryside and want to live in Tokyo, Wild Rose waved her hands and shouted. Huh? Itadori Yuji didn't expect this answer at all. Kujisaki Nobara stuck out his tongue with a playful expression. Haha, if you can go to Tokyo without considering money, then this is the only way to do it. You are so desperate for this reason. Exercising curse is very dangerous. Itadori Yuji still didn't understand. Seeing that Itadori was so ignorant and continued to dwell on this topic without emotional intelligence, Kujisaki Nobara stiffened and his expression became serious. Since Itadori Yuji asked the question seriously, she was also prepared to answer it seriously. I live for myself. If I stay in that village, I will be dead. At the same time, I come to Tokyo just to meet someone. From this point of view, I am very grateful to you. Without your intervention, whether I die or live alone, I will not have a bright future. Thank you. Listening to Kujisaki Nobara's sincere thanks on his back and feeling Wild Rose's soft body, Itadori Yuji suddenly blushed. His hands dragging the girl's thighs subconsciously pushed up to make the girl feel more comfortable on his back. It's not that the more important the reason, the more remarkable it is. He thought about what Principal Yaga Masamichi said when he was interviewing him, and also thought about his answer at that time. Well, as long as you don't regret your thoughts, this is how we live. Itadori Yuji's tone was full of determination. This sentence also made Kujisaki Nobara understand this boy for the first time. At this time, she even suddenly felt that this stupid fool who was carrying her was a little handsome. Thinking of this, Wild Rose quickly shook her head. What's going on, Wild Rose? What you like is a handsome and stylish man. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement, huh? I said thank you, then it's even, I don't owe you anything. She patted Itadori hard on the back to express that we didn't owe each other anything. Feeling the pain in his back, Itadori Yuji complained helplessly. Is there something wrong with you? Tsunere has already withdrawn from the environment. Huh? Where am I so arrogant? Wild Rose grabbed Itadori Yuji's pink hair. It hurts, stop scratching, stop scratching. Itadori Yuji immediately begged for mercy. Tell me, why am I so arrogant? No, I didn't speak just now. Kujisaki Nobara and Itadori Yuji were noisy, causing the boy behind them to laugh. Huh? What's wrong with you? Itadori Yuji and Kujisaki Nobara turned their heads at the same time and asked in unison. No, brother and sister, your relationship is so good, I envy you so much. The boy smiled brightly, jumped down the last flight of stairs, and walked out of the building. Realizing that the conversation they just had with each other seemed a bit intimate, Itadori Yuji and Kujisaki Nobara looked at each other, snorted at the same time, and looked away. Hey, my dear students are finally out. If you don't come out, I will have to apply for rescue. Gojo Satoru teased and stood up from the ground. Fushiguro Megumi also walked up to Itadori and Wild Rose, showing concern. Only Lu Ming was still lying on the long stone bench with his body stretched out. Advertisement, it seems that one of the boys is a little bit red. I originally wanted to take you to have a big meal. Now, it seems that I can only go back to school first, right? Gojo Satoru's words once again caught the attention of Briar Rose and Itadori. Who said I was injured? It was just a twist. When Wild Rose heard that she could have a big meal in Tokyo, She immediately patted Itadori Yuji on the shoulder. Itadori, put me down. Realizing that Wild Rose was still ready to show off her strength, Itadori Yuji looked helpless. Forget it, you're already like this? Where else can you go to eat? Although he also wanted to go see the world with Teacher Gojo, but considering Wild Rose's current state, he felt that Teacher Gojo's suggestion was right. HMPH, can such a small injury stump a jujutsu master? Kujisaki Nobara struggled a few times on Itadori Yuji's body, but insisted on getting off the ground. Seeing that he couldn't hold Wild Rose back, Itadori Yuji could only put it down. However, when it landed, his hands subconsciously held Wild Rose's hands to prevent her from losing her balance. Itadori was so considerate that Kujisaki Nobara once again recognized the merits of Itadori Yuji. After landing, Kujisaki Nobara stood still, pinched his waist and said to Gojo Satoru, "Look, I'm fine. We're going to have a big dinner, a big dinner." Gojo Satoru's 6 eyes is not fake either. Then why don't you take a few steps and take a look? Otherwise, if you follow us and get lost, then I, as the class teacher, will be derelict in my duty. He could tell at a glance that Kujisaki Nobara was holding on, but he didn't expect that a big meal in Tokyo would be so tempting to this girl. Wild Rose's expression froze and she stood motionless, unable to walk at all. My feet must still hurt, right? So, we'd better listen to the teacher and go back to school first. Itadori Yuji answered very unluckily, which immediately ignited Kujisaki Nobara's temper. Don't talk. I can leave. I want to have a big meal. Chapter 45. From today on, Lu Ming will be the monitor. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Wild Rose must not miss this opportunity. Being able to have a feast with Gojo Satoru for free will not only help her save a lot of money, but also allow her to see the world. She must not miss it. Okay, you have the final say. Itadori Yuji curled his lips. I think Kujisaki-san's injury is serious, so we should go back to school first. Fushiguro Megumi suddenly spoke, expressing his attitude without any expression. Compared with a big meal, his classmates' bodies are very important to him. Very good. 2-1. Gojo Satoru turned around, pointed at Lu Ming, and grinned. Lu Ming-kun, it's up to you now. Your choice determines our next destination. Lu Ming, who was lying on the stone bench, suddenly became the focus of everyone's attention. Lu Ming sat up lazily and put his hands into the sleeves of his kimono uniform, looking like an elderly man. So troublesome. Even if I vote for Kujisaki-kun, it's still 2-2. The final decision is still with you. You have to make the decision yourself? Mr. Gojo. Gojo Satoru shook his head. No, you are the strongest. Let's do this. From now on, you will be the class president of the first grade. One of your votes can be counted as 1.5 votes, so there will be no tie votes. How about it, Lu Mingjun? The teacher still prefers you, right? When Lu Ming heard about the position of squad leader and looked at the smile on Gojo Satoru's face, he couldn't guess that Gojo Satoru wanted to take on more responsibilities, hoping that responsibility would change his casual attitude. He wanted to refuse, but then he thought of the 3 problem children in front of him and asked directly. Advertisement, Teacher Gojo, if I am the monitor, then these 3 people should be under my control, right? Bingo, no problem, you are the strongest among them, they can't help but listen, right? Gojo Satoru determined Lu Ming's rights. Isn't this an unfair reputation? How can we force them to do things they don't want to do without a reputation? Lu Ming shrugged, taking over the work assigned by Gojo Satoru. Fushiguro Megumi and Itadori Yuji swallowed when they saw Lu Ming blocking the monitor, their hearts filled with complaints. Itadori Yuji, if you don't have a reputation, won't you be forced? Then I couldn't have eaten the Sukuna finger in my stomach, right? Close black lens bracket. Fushiguro Megumi. Justified. Later, Lu Ming also wanted us to do things that we didn't want to do originally. It always felt like the future seemed a bit difficult. Close black lens bracket. Kujisaki Nobara frowned when he heard this. She always thought Lu Ming was mysterious, but she didn't expect that this man turned out to be the strongest among them. However, why did Lu Ming remain motionless when the crisis just emerged, not even ready to take action, even worse than Itadori Yuji, a newcomer who had just come into contact with Jujutsu? What is the identity of this Lu Ming? Shouldn't it be that the paralyzed Fushiguro Megumi has the aura of a strong man? Close black lens bracket. Kujisaki Nobara gradually became distracted thinking about Lu Ming's strangeness, until she heard Lu Ming suddenly speak. Go back to school or have a big meal? Do I need to make a choice? Lu Ming glanced at Kujisaki Nobara, then at Itadori Yuji who was still standing next to him, and nodded calmly. Going back to school seems like a good choice, it's getting late. Kujisaki Nobara's face darkened when he heard this, and he voted 3.5-1. Nothing. Hearing that there was a twist behind Lu Ming, Kujisaki Nobara raised his head suddenly, his eyes full of anticipation. Advertisement: I've never been to Tokyo. Besides, if I have the chance to eat at Mr. Gojo's restaurant, why not? After speaking, Lu Ming smiled slightly at Kujisaki Nobara and Itadori Yuji. I choose to have a big meal, Yuji. My brother can help you with this. You should take good care of yourself and stop thinking too hard. Going from school uniform to wedding dress is also a good choice. Close black lens bracket. Yeah, big dinner, big family, big dinner, big family, big dinner, big family. Kujisaki Nobara's original inner dissatisfaction with Lu Ming's previous performance suddenly dissipated. A girl's happiness is that simple. Under the influence of Kujisaki Nobara, Itadori Yuji and Fushiguro Megumi also became much more relaxed. Yuji, please carry Kujisaki-san on your back for the rest of the journey and take good care of the girls. Lu Ming once again bound Itadori and Wild Rose together. Huh? Why me again? Itadori Yuji's face fell. If everyone goes shopping together, wouldn't it be strange if he is the only one carrying a girl on his back? I am the monitor, are you dissatisfied with my arrangement? Lu Ming raised his eyebrows and raised his tone slightly. Thinking of Lizi's pressure before, Itadori Yuji could only give in silently. He didn't like the feeling of being pressed to the ground and unable to move. Seeing Itadori relenting, Lu Ming comforted him and explained. Among the three boys, you are the strongest. If you don't carry Kugazaki-kun, who will? You won't let me, a frail young man, carry it, right? Or do you want Megaman, who was seriously injured just 2 days ago, to carry it? Itadori Yuji was speechless, looked at Lu Ming, looked at Fushiguro Megumi, and finally accepted his fate. My health is fine. Ieri Shoko-sensei has cured it, Itadori, if. Advertisement: Fushiguro Megumi thought Itadori was a little tired from the exorcism mission just now, so he very thoughtfully asked to help. The next second, Lu Ming appeared quietly in front of him and said with a sinister look on his face. Wei, the squad leader said that you were seriously injured and cannot do heavy work. Fushiguro, are you the heroine who wants to steal Tarako? Or do you want to be Huzi's heroine? Close black lens bracket. Facing the threat hidden in Lu Ming's words, Fushiguro Megumi was also very aware of current affairs. Oh, my wound is a little painful. It's me, Meng Lang. Itadori, I can only leave this task to you. Seeing this, Lu Ming nodded with satisfaction. Okay, that's settled, now let's think about where to go and what to eat. Gojo Satoru on the side was also very happy to see the students interacting so intimately. Think about where to eat, teacher is very rich and can fulfill your wishes. Itadori Yuji and Kujisaki Nobara suddenly became energetic. One forgot about carrying someone next, and the other forgot that his feet were still injured. Steak. Itadori Yuji was the first to shout. Sushi. Kujisaki Nobara then said his choice. Yang cuisine. Lu Ming still performed steadily. Gojo Satoru held out 2 thumbs and smiled. No problem. Then he turned to look at Fushiguro Megumi. Where's Megumi? Fushiguro Megumi silently took out his mobile phone and began to quickly search for what was the most expensive thing. Gojo Satoru was speechless and turned around. Let's go, Yuji, Wild Rose and Lu Mingjun. There's no need to wait for him. Chapter 46. Do you need to take off sunglasses when taking photos? Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Oh, by the way. You ordered 3 items today, but currently there is no restaurant that can satisfy you at the same time. How about you 3 make a choice again, eat sushi, steak, or Yang cuisine? Walking to Ginza, Gojo Satoru suddenly slapped his head and said this provocative sentence. We're here now, and there shouldn't be any authentic Yang dishes. I'll give up and let's watch Yuji and Kugazaki-san. Knowing that Gojo Satoru would do something wrong, Lu Ming refused to let him succeed and chose to give up, leaving the battlefield to Itadori Yuji and Kujisaki Nobara. This can also be regarded as an opportunity for the two of them to improve their relationship as happy enemies. Ah, Mr. Lu Ming, are you so unwilling to insist? Gojo Satoru scratched his head. Then it depends on you too. Eat steak. I've been carrying you for so long, I want to eat steak to replenish energy. Eat sushi, and sushi can be replenished for you. While Briar was still on Itadori's back, the two began to quarrel with each other. You go rock paper scissors. If you don't decide, it will be dinner time. Lu Ming didn't care, he just wanted to eat something quickly. Lu Ming's proposal was approved by both of them. Kujisaki Nobara jumped off Itadori's back with one leg, his eyes showed a ferocious light, and he put his right hand behind his back. Itadori, next I want to make a cloth. Hearing Wild Rose's initiative to tell the information, Itadori Yuji's expression suddenly changed drastically. He was already a rough and tumble man, and his cerebellum had a limited capacity, so he couldn't react at all. Rock paper scissors. As the voice of Wild Rose fell, Itadori Yuji's mind could no longer turn around. In order to win, he subconsciously pulled out the scissors. Advertisement on the opposite side, Wild Rose punched. Itadori, you are really simple-minded. Wild Rose won and immediately danced, and her injured leg that had not landed on the ground subconsciously stepped on the ground. It hurts, it hurts. Itadori Yuji was still regretting the defeat just now. When he saw Kujisaki Nobara was extremely happy and sad, he also chuckled and quickly supported her. Did you suffer retribution for telling lies? What are you kidding about? This is a ploy. Do you understand the ploy? You're crazy? Wild Rose looked dissatisfied, grabbing Itadori's arm with one hand, and shaking the other hand at Gojo Satoru. Gojo-sensei, sushi, sushi, sushi. Gojo Satoru nodded and took out his mobile phone. If you want to eat sushi, let's go to the old place. It happens to be available here in Ginza. Teacher, I want to eat conveyor belt sushi. Seeing that it was impossible to change, Itadori Yuji made his request again. However, Lu Ming, who was unwilling to wait, directly kicked Itadori Yuji to the ground. Teacher Gojo, you are a professional, you decide. Today, he has done enough for Brother Huzi's emotional line. If he still doesn't understand women so much, then Lu Ming is really ready to give up on this guy. Lu Ming, conveyor belt sushi is different from sushi. Conveyor belt sushi is entertainment, sushi is food. Itadori Yuji was still struggling, but Lu Ming ignored him and stepped on Itadori's back. Go ahead and ignore this problem child's please. Under Lu Ming's strong request, Itadori Yuji was deprived of the right to speak. The 4 teachers and students from Tokyo Jujutsu High School could finally enjoy a delicious meal. As for Itadori, who looked aggrieved, he could only turn his grief and anger into appetite, vowing to eat sushi with the taste of steak. Advertisement, the next day. Today is your first official day of enrollment, so we have to do some miscellaneous things first. Before we start, please get ready, 4 friends. Let's take a photo first and get everyone's student ID cards ready today. Gojo Satoru gathered Lu Ming and the other 4, took out a camera, and asked everyone to stand in front of the blackboard. Ladies first. Wild Rose, you come first. Kujisaki Nobara curled his lips, stood in front of the blackboard, stared at Gojo Satoru, and said loudly. Teacher Gojo, can you please take a picture of my charm? It's time to reflect your aesthetics. After saying that, the corners of his mouth raised and he put on a routine fake smile. Okay. I believe in the teacher's photography skills. Gojo Satoru smiled confidently, his white teeth shining like stars. Itadori Yuji and Fushiguro Megumi were speechless looking at Kujisaki Nobara's fake smile. What else can the ID photo produce? Aren't they all like that? Fushiguro Megumi still had that plain face after taking the ID photo, but after Itadori Yuji came on stage, he also learned from Kujisaki Nobara. Teacher, I also want to be more handsome. Gojo Satoru also nodded, expressing understanding. After all 3 people finished filming, only Lu Ming was left. Student Lu Ming, class monitor, you are the only one left, so you don't need me to invite you, right? Gojo Satoru waved to Lu Ming. Lu Ming glanced at Gojo Satoru, standing in front of the blackboard with a strange smile on his face. Teacher Gojo, is this okay? I also want the photo to look more handsome and not as rigid as the ID photo. Advertisement Gojo Satoru nodded, raised the camera and put it in front of him. He was about to take a picture, but then he suddenly put it down. Lu Mingjun, you are not allowed to wear sunglasses in your ID photo. Take off your sunglasses, you can put them on again after the photo is taken. Hearing Gojo Satoru reveal his true purpose, the smile on Lu Ming's face became stronger and the curvature of the corners of his mouth became more obvious. Teacher Gojo, as expected, you are still curious, right? Sure enough, my 6 eyes can't see your eyes behind the eye patch, and your 6 eyes can't see my eyes behind my sunglasses either. Lu Ming glanced around with a smile and saw Kujisaki Nobara, Fushiguro Megumi, and Itadori Yuji all looking at him. Gojo Satoru also stared at himself and smiled. Lu Ming knew that it was imperative for him to take off his sunglasses to satisfy the curiosity of this group of people. Teacher Gojo, do you really have to take off these sunglasses? Lu Ming's expression was a little helpless. It was not that he wanted to show off, but mainly because he felt that if word spread about taking off these glasses, it might shock Jujutsu High School and even the entire Jujutsu world. He also felt that maybe Gojo Satoru didn't want too many people to know the existence of his eyes. You have to take them off, Lu Mingjun. Have you ever seen anyone wearing sunglasses when taking ID photos? In this case, if you take off your sunglasses one day, wouldn't it be impossible to recognize you with your student ID card? With so much laid out, how could Gojo Satoru allow Lu Ming to back down? Behind these sunglasses, he couldn't see his eyes clearly. He had been looking forward to it for a long time. Lu Ming shrugged, he didn't really care about it. Gojo Satoru has always been in the lawful good camp throughout the entire anime. Even if he knew about his eyes, he would not do anything drastic. However, he was curious, what would other members of the Gojo family think if they knew that he also had a pair of 6 eyes in his eyes? Lu Ming suddenly had a bad taste in his heart. He wants to know, will the Gojo family let him dig out the pair of eyes of the sky, or will they think that they are the blood of the Gojo family like the Zenin family? How should Gojo Satoru, the representative of the Gojo family, solve this problem? Lu Ming feels that the world is getting more and more fun. Chapter 47 Lu Mingjun, as expected, you can also perform unlimited spells. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement. Okay, Teacher Gojo, then I will really take it off. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed the edge of his sunglasses and slowly took them off. Lu Ming, are you a mixed race? Why do you have the appearance of a neon person, a Chinese name, and European and American eyes? Your skin is, well, quite white. Kujisaki Nobara looked at Lu Ming's blue eyes, touched his chin, and commented on Lu Ming. I have to say, these eyes are really charming. Itadori Yuji and Fushiguro Megumi also widened their eyes. They thought there was some defect in Lu Ming's eyes, but they didn't expect that Lu Ming's eyes were as blue as the sky. These eyes are very beautiful. Why does Lu Ming always wear sunglasses? Even if you wear it at night, won't it block your vision? Neither Itadori Yuji nor Kujisaki Nobara have seen what Gojo Satoru looks like under his eye patch, so they don't know what's special about Lu Ming's eyes. At this moment, Lu Ming didn't pay much attention to the reactions of the 3 protagonists. He just looked at Gojo Satoru with a smile, waiting for what he would say. Looking at Lu Ming's pair of 6 eyes, Gojo Satoru fell silent. Although Gojo Satoru's expression looked very plain, Lu Ming could feel the surprise in the heart of this strongest jujutsu master. Teacher Gojo, please help me take a picture. Lu Ming put on the most perfect smile, and his blue 6 eyes flashed with charming colors, creating a perfect image of a high school student. Kujisaki Nobara's eyes widened. She felt that Lu Ming at this time really fit her inner image of a handsome guy. Fushiguro and Itadori also pouted silently. They were both handsome boys, but in front of Lu Ming, who took off his sunglasses, they both felt a little ashamed of themselves. It turns out that this pair of sunglasses is Lu Ming's appearance sealer. Advertisement, Lu Mingjun's eye color is really good. Well, forget it. Lu Mingjun should take pictures with sunglasses. I think you will always wear sunglasses when entering and exiting school, so it seems more appropriate to use sunglasses as your student ID card. Gojo Satoru suddenly laughed and said something that the 3 Itadori couldn't understand at all. It was Gojo Satoru who clearly asked Lu Ming to take off his glasses, but now he asked Lu Ming to put them on again. Are all adults' thoughts so capricious? However, what surprised the 3 of them even more was that Lu Ming didn't complain a word and put on his sunglasses again obediently. Crack. Just like that, Lu Ming's image was fixed as he was wearing sunglasses. After disbanding, the 3 of Wild Rose prepared to go back to the dormitory, while Lu Ming asked the 3 of them to leave first and went for a walk. Walking alone to the center of the playground, Lizi suddenly emerged from Lu Ming's shadow and stretched out her hand to block Lu Ming's body. At the same time, the figure of Gojo Satoru suddenly appeared in front of Lu Ming, and his right fist slammed into Lizi's arm, creating a terrifying sonic boom. The powerful punch struck Lu Ming's face, but it stayed close to the bridge of Lu Ming's nose, unable to get any closer. There is no lower limit to the technique. As expected, Mr. Lu Ming, your pair is indeed the 6 eyes of the Gojo family. Gojo Satoru stood in front of Lu Ming, slowly opened Lizi's arm with his right hand, and took off Lu Ming's sunglasses with his left hand. Those pale blue eyes and white eyelashes really looked exactly like her. Teacher Gojo, are you trying to kill me with such a serious attack? Lu Ming spread his hands, looking helpless. Advertisement. He knew that Gojo Satoru would definitely come to him, so after entering the playground, he had already activated the unlimited technique, Stop Power, and successfully blocked Gojo Satoru's attack. However, right now, he can only block one attack from Gojo Satoru, and after that, the technique, Stop Power, will be released automatically. Gojo Satoru laughed when he heard this. Who makes Mr. Lu Ming so mysterious? Unexpectedly, he not only possesses the 10 shadow spells of the Zenin family, but also has the 6 eyes of the Gojo family. The most important thing is that Lu Mingjun's existence cannot be found in the entire Neon system. Lu Mingjun, can you tell me, who are you? Why are you together with Yuji and Wei? Gojo Satoru's expression became more and more calm, and his tone became more and more serious. The Gojo family's information told him that only one pair of 6 eyes could exist in the same era. Owning this pair of 6 eyes means that no one else can own them. However, Lu Ming's existence now severely refuted the Gojo family's records. The most important thing is that Lu Ming should still have the blood of the Zenin family. He can control the 2 ancestral techniques of the Gojo family and the Zenin family at the same time. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. he felt a little uncomfortable without the protection of sunglasses. He blinked, and the eyes of the sky kept looking at Gojo Satoru, analyzing the spells on Gojo Satoru at this time. Gojo Satoru showed no hostility, only his intellectual curiosity. However, Lu Ming was not prepared to answer easily. He came to Jujutsu High School in Tokyo for two purposes. One was to master Fushiguro Megumi's 10 shadow spells, and the other was to master Gojo Satoru's unlimited spells. Now, Gojo Satoru wants to know his secret, so naturally he has to exchange it with the corresponding chips. Lu Ming chuckled lightly. Teacher Gojo, if you want to know the answer, you have to let me see the true power of 6 eyes, right? Advertisement Riko's figure grew bigger and bigger, and the pressure of the special cursed spirit began to envelope the entire school. Inside the office, the expressions of Yaga Masamichi and Ieri Shoko changed slightly. Lu Ming had clearly promised when he enrolled in school that he would not release Lizi's power at will in the school. Now, what happened? It's on the playground, however, Satoru seems to be here too. Ieri Shoko looked at Yaga Masamichi. With Gojo Satoru here, any problem should be solved. A flash of light flashed on Yaga Masamichi's sunglasses. Let's go take a look, we can't leave everything to Satoru. Ieri Shoko nodded and immediately rushed to the playground. You want to see the power of 6 eyes? It's really rare. Didn't you already see it when you were at Itadori school? You don't think you can defeat me with a special cursed spirit, do you? Gojo Satoru tugged on his blindfold, a hint of excitement hidden in his words. Of course, no, Gojo-sensei is the strongest in the world. I'm not that naive. I just want to see how far the strongest Gojo-sensei has mastered 6 eyes. My 6 eyes is also very excited. Lu Ming clenched his hands, used his hands to make dog-like hand shadows for the first time, and growled in a low voice. Jade Dog. 2 jade dogs, one black and one white, appeared, standing next to Lu Ming. These 2 jade dogs are much larger than the jade dogs summoned twice before, and their spell power is also more abundant. Chapter 48. Why are Teacher Gojo's eyes the same as Lu Ming's? Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Is this the difference between seal summoning and sealless summoning? It turns out that if I summon it myself, the jade dog will be more powerful. If it is summoned with the help of shadow, the summoning action will be more secretive, but the power will be weaker. Close black lens bracket. Looking at the jade dog beside him, a flash of enlightenment flashed in Lu Ming's heart. Under the same operation, Lu Ming also summoned Nu. The huge Nu and 2 jade dogs looked at Gojo Satoru eagerly, and Lizi was also on guard behind Lu Ming. As for the 9 phase diagrams of the cursed fetus, Lu Ming has no plans to use them yet. These 3 people are one of Lu Ming's trump cards. Except for Ryomen Sukuna, no one else has ever seen it. According to the current situation, he should be able to have a simple fight with Gojo Satoru. Although he will definitely not be able to defeat Gojo Satoru, it is still possible to barely protect himself when all his cards are used. 5-1, Lu Mingjun. I always feel that your lineup is even more shameless than Yūta's. Gojo Satoru looked at Lu Ming with a smile. Although he said this verbally, his expression did not change at all, and he was even a little relaxed. Gojo-sensei, this is ridiculous. How can I compare with the god of war of pure love? Okkotsu Yūta's level of spell power is beyond my comparison. Lu Ming is still self-aware. Although he has the strength of a special level Jujutsu master, according to the technique that he has not yet fully developed, he should only be ranked at the bottom of the special level Jujutsu masters. After all, the Big Three Sorcerer Families techniques he currently masters are all incomplete. The 10 shadow spells can only be used to control Jade Dog and Nu, the unlimited spell can only control the power of stopping, and the red blood manipulation can only control blood. The most powerful force currently is the guardian cursed spirit Lizi and the 3 brothers of the 9 phase diagram. Once Gojo Satoru opens the realm of infinite space and his 6 eyes fails to withstand this realm, he will probably fall into a state of sluggishness like a pot treasure and let others slaughter him. Therefore, after resisting an attack by Gojo Satoru with the power of stopping, Lu Ming no longer relied on 6 eyes to use unlimited techniques. Advertisement. He needs to rely on 6 eyes to guard against Gojo Satoru's field. At the same time, the most important thing is to analyze the unlimited spells that Gojo Satoru may use next. Come on, Jade Dog, Nu. Lu Ming's goal is not to defeat Gojo Satoru, which is simply unrealistic. His goal is very simple. The bottom line is to force Gojo Satoru to use the Dojutsu reversal, Aang, and preferably also to have Gojo Satoru use the Dojutsu reversal, He. As for Shu Shi Shi, Lu Ming had never thought about it at all. If Gojo Satoru really uses Kyoshi Si, Lu Ming himself has no confidence that he can follow it. At the moment Nu and Jade Dog attacked, Lu Ming began to enter a state of harmony with Lizi. The pure white bone-colored Lizi and Lu Ming began to move in unison, and the two seemed to become one. Lu Ming was not planning to attack proactively. At present, he entered the synchronic state with Lizi and instructed Gojo Satoru to directly bypass J-Dog and Nu in order to defend against him and fight him personally. And his 6 eyes is staring at Gojo Satoru, hoping that Gojo Satoru can use the technique to reverse the attacks of Nu and Tamagoru. On the other side, Gojo Satoru smiled slightly. Facing Lu Ming's provocation, he felt a sense of joy in his heart. Although Gojo Satoru looks very laid back, he also has a yearning for fighting in his heart. Being powerful is also a kind of loneliness, and Lu Ming is one of the few people who can interest him a little. In order to show respect for the other pair of 6 eyes, between the attacks of Nu and Jade-Dog, Gojo Satoru lifted his eye patch, and a pair of 6 eyes exactly like Lu Ming appeared in Lu Ming's eyes. 2 pairs of 6 eyes, who were not supposed to exist at the same time in this world, looked at each other for the first time in history. The battle is about to break out. Nu and Tamagoru were extremely fast, but the moment they were about to attack Gojo Satoru had already disappeared. Then, his figure appeared directly behind Nu and the 2 Jade Dogs, and kicked the 3 Shikigami away with 3 consecutive kicks. Advertisement teleporting. Gojo Satoru's speed is unmatched. This is Gojo Satoru's signature ability. In the eyes of others, this is one of Gojo Satoru's abilities to reverse the technique. However, Lu Ming's 6 eyes did not notice that Gojo Satoru was using the technique at all. The teleportation just now was just a manifestation of Gojo Satoru's own speed. After taking off the blindfold, Gojo Satoru's observation of the battle has been extremely detailed. He can move in short distances without using any magic techniques. Gojo Satoru, so strong, it's really hard to imagine how the future Ryoman Sukuna will accomplish the feat of slicing Gojo Satoru in half. Close black lens bracket. It basically smells like a deus ex machina. Close black lens bracket. Lu Ming shook his head. 6 eyes always stayed on Gojo Satoru. He was not disappointed that Tamagoru and Nu did not force Gojo Satoru's technique. If Tamagoru and Nu were able to make Gojo Satoru use his skills, then the title of the strongest Jujutsu master would be too much. During the battle, Yaga Masamichi and Ieri Shoko had already arrived outside the playground. So, Wu is fighting Lu Ming. Shoko frowned, and there was a trace of worry in his heart. It was just the first day of school, and Gojo Satoru and Lu Ming had reached this level? Is this the confidence Gojo Satoru has in accepting Lu Ming? Are you so confident that teachers and students have to fight each other on the first day? No, it's Lu Ming who is attacking Wu. Yaga Masamichi's words awakened Ieri Shoko. Indeed, although it was Gojo Satoru who kicked away the 3 Shikigami just now, Lu Ming actually took the initiative. Is Lu Ming another hero? Close black lens bracket. Ieri Shoko's expression was a little worried. In her opinion, Gojo Satoru was not an unreasonable person. But now that Gojo Satoru had taken action, it meant that Lu Ming must have a reason for Gojo Satoru to take action. Advertisement. It is indeed Lizi's power. Why are Lu Ming and Mr. Gojo fighting? Itadori Yuji's voice came. Ieri Shoko and Yaga Masamichi turned their heads at the same time, and the 3 protagonists appeared beside them at some point. Sure enough, what was wrong when taking pictures before is true. Fushiguro Megumi's soliloquy attracted Yaga Masamichi's attention. Yaga Masamichi looked serious, pushed up the sunglasses on the bridge of his nose and asked, Fushiguro, what happened to Satoru and Lu Ming before? Just when Fushiguro Megumi was about to speak, Kujisaki Nobara beside him suddenly exclaimed. What's going on? Teacher Gojo's eyes are the same as Lu Ming's. This sentence sounded like a very ordinary question and surprise, but it was a thunder in the hearts of Ieri Shoko and Yaga Masamichi. Lu Ming's eyes, and Gojo Satoru, same, how can it be? The 2 of them instantly turned their attention to Lu Ming. The pair of blue eyes in Lu Ming's eyes completely silenced the 2 of them. 6 eyes? Eyes of the sky. There was no need for Fushiguro Megumi to explain anything. They already knew why Gojo Satoru and Lu Ming had this fight. Lu Ming owns 6 eyes, which originally belonged to the Gojo family. This pair of 6 eyes should not exist. As the representative of the Gojo family, Gojo Satoru has the right and responsibility to understand the reason for the existence of this pair of 6 eyes. Chapter 49. Breaking through the power of stopping. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Ha ha ha, indeed, Brat Lu Ming cannot be tolerated by the Jujutsu world. Feeling the fighting atmosphere in the center of the battlefield, a mouth appeared on Itadori Yuji's face, and Sukuna's voice sounded. 2 pairs of 6 eyes, this era is so abnormal, even the 6 eyes that should only exist in one pair can be paired, haha, this is indeed the most suitable era for me to wake up. Sukuna's voice was very noisy. Itadori Yuji wanted to control his body, but Sukuna was unwilling to be suppressed this time. He wanted to come out for air. Itadori kid, I also need to get to know the powerful people in this world. Don't waste your efforts. Don't you want to know the details of the battle between Brat Lu Ming and your teacher Gojo? Do you think you can see it clearly with your own eyes? If you don't bother me, I can explain it to you when I'm in a good mood. Ryomen Sukuna's words immediately stopped Itadori Yuji's movements. Itadori Yuji has complicated feelings for Lu Ming. He knows that Lu Ming is very strong enough to suppress the King of Curses in his body time and time again. Therefore, he has always regarded Lu Ming as his goal. Now, he had this opportunity to learn about Lu Ming's true strength, and he was not willing to miss it. The mysterious Lu Ming faces Gojo Satoru, who is currently regarded by Lu Ming as the world's strongest jujutsu master. What kind of sparks can the two people collide with? Itadori Yuji's heart is also full of expectations. In the end, Itadori Yuji fell silent and acquiesced to Ryomen Sukuna's proposal. The 5 people beside the playground and one curse stopped talking, and they all focused on the battle in the center of the playground. Advertisement Tamaki and Nu have launched multiple rounds of attacks on Gojo Satoru, but the 3 Shikigami are like pets, being played with by Gojo Satoru wantonly. This round of attacks didn't even touch the corner of Gojo Satoru's clothes. Lu Mingjun, where are your other shadow spells? You don't think you can defeat me just by relying on Jade Dog and Nu, do you? Isn't this a little disrespectful to me? Gojo Satoru's expression was a little boring. If Lu Ming only had these levels, then he would be a little disappointed. After listening to Gojo Satoru's words, Lu Ming's expression froze and he glanced sideways at Fushiguro Megumi. I also want to summon other Shikigami, but isn't there no chance? Who told Fushiguro Megumi to use these 2 Shikigami right in front of me? Close black lens bracket. However, what Gojo Satoru said is indeed correct, but these 2 shadow spells do disrespect him a little. Close black lens bracket. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly and controlled Nu to attack from high altitude. The Jade Dog attacked Gojo Satoru again on the ground. Same as previous attacks. Gojo Satoru still didn't care. However, this time, Lu Ming did not stay where he was and observe. During this period of observation, Lu Ming has analyzed the method of neutralizing Gojo Satoru's stopping power with 6 eyes and his control of the stopping power. If Gojo Satoru's stopping power was not broken, this battle would be nothing more than a joke. Gojo Satoru did not use the technique Reverse Aang, which did not allow Lu Ming to get a chance to analyze Aang. However, the power of continuous stopping also allowed Lu Ming to understand a lot. At the moment Nu and Jade Dog attacked, Lu Ming had already appeared beside Gojo Satoru. The 3-party attack completely blocked Gojo Satoru's route. Advertisement, Lu Mingjun, since you know how to stop, you should know that these attacks are ineffective and you were just wasting your efforts. Since there was nowhere to hide, Gojo Satoru didn't even think about moving and just stood there. The power of stopping had already spontaneously surrounded him. From the perspective of Gojo Satoru, the attacks from Lu Ming, Jade Dog and Nu could not touch him at all. In fact, just as Gojo Satoru expected, the attacks of Nu and Yunu could only stay on the surface of his body and could not touch him at all. The same goes for Lu Ming and Lizi's coordinated attacks. Although this circle hit him fiercely, it was still separated from him by an invisible layer of space. As long as the stopping power is still there, he will always have an absolute advantage. The whole battle looked like Lu Ming was holding down Gojo Satoru, but Gojo Satoru was just taking a leisurely stroll without any panic at all. Is this Lu Ming? Teacher Gojo is at a disadvantage? Why does he come to a high school to study like this when he has such strength? Kujisaki Nobara's mouth opened slightly. Gojo Satoru said before that Lu Ming was the strongest among them, but she still felt a little unconvinced. Now seeing Lu Ming's ferocious attack, she completely agreed with Gojo Satoru's words. With the strength Lu Ming has shown now, she, Fushiguro Megumi and Itadori Yuji combined may not be Lu Ming's opponent alone. The most important thing is that she noticed Lizi's aura. Lizi's aura was exactly that of the special curse she felt in the building yesterday. What is the curse around Lu Ming? Is it Lu Ming's technique? Advertisement Kujisaki Nobara's mouth opened slightly, his eyes filled with disbelief. Are you talking about Lizi? Well, yes, Lu Ming's technique, Lu Ming's guardian cursed spirit. Itadori Yuji explained, then added, Lizi is also a special grade cursed spirit. Kujisaki Nobara nodded numbly. She finally understood what happened yesterday. It turned out that at the most critical moment, Lu Ming didn't do nothing. At that time, the pressure of the special curse that made the spherical curse immobile and unable to harm the hostages was released by Lu Ming. It was precisely because of Lu Ming's existence that she was able to survive until Itadori Yuji appeared yesterday. Kujisaki Nobara felt a trace of guilt in her heart. She realized that she had misunderstood Lu Ming yesterday. If it hadn't been for Lu Ming at that time, he might have died in the hands of that spherical curse and wouldn't have been able to wait for Itadori Yuji to appear. Lu Ming is really too strong. He couldn't hit Teacher Gojo 2 days ago. Unexpectedly, after so long, Lu Ming can already hit Teacher Gojo. Itadori Yuji's voice attracted everyone's attention. Kujisaki Nobara doesn't know the effect of stopping power, but the other three people all understand the power of Gojo Satoru's stopping power. Fushiguro Megumi, Ieri Shoko and Yaga Masamichi are always known. Now hearing Itadori Yuji exclaim, the three people thought that Itadori Yuji did not understand the function of the power of stopping, and were ready to explain, but the expressions of the three people changed instantly in the next second. In the center of the battlefield, Gojo Satoru was actually hit. In the limited time, Gojo Satoru actually stretched out his hands to block Lu Ming's attack. Gojo Satoru's choice to make this move means that Lu Ming broke through Gojo Satoru's stopping power and attacked Gojo Satoru's true body. Chapter 50. Those who are favored are always confident. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. How can it be? As a contemporary of Gojo Satoru, Ieri Shoko is the one who best understands the power of stopping. Even a super jujutsu master would have a hard time breaking through Gojo Satoru's stopping power unless Gojo Satoru unlocks it himself or Lu Ming expands his domain. Since the death of Riko Tenuchi, Gojo Satoru has learned to perform this technique automatically and without interruption, and since then, he has become the true strongest. Therefore, Lu Ming's attack just now should not be able to hit Gojo Satoru at all. Judging from Gojo Satoru's confidence just now, Gojo Satoru did not automatically unlock the technique. Moreover, Lu Ming did not have a domain. So, what does it mean? Does it mean that Lu Ming found the third way to unlock Gojo Satoru's stopping power? Is it because Lu Ming also owns 6 eyes? So, this is Lu Ming's unique way to unlock the power of stopping? Close black lens bracket. Yaga Masamichi's expression became more serious. Lu Ming was able to break the stopping power, which meant that he could pose a threat to Gojo Satoru. Although Lu Ming's strength is still not enough to defeat Gojo Satoru, he is already the closest to Gojo Satoru in the current Tokyo Jujutsu High School. Satoru, this is the mysterious student you brought back. Could he be another Okkotsu Yūta? Or will he become another Shayuja? Close black lens bracket. Fushiguro Megumi's expression remained indifferent, but there was a hint of shock hidden in those eyes. Gojo Satoru is an invincible existence in his heart. Now that Lu Ming can touch Gojo Satoru, this is completely beyond his imagination. Advertisement. It's like an ordinary person can touch the gods. At this moment, Lu Ming, who had touched the gods, seemed to be infected with a little divinity. The same 6 eyes as Mr. Gojo, the same shadow magic as me, Lu Ming. What kind of existence is he? What was your purpose in forcing Itadori to swallow Sukuna's finger and voluntarily join Jujutsu High School? Close black lens bracket. As for Kujisaki Nobara and Itadori Yuji, they looked completely shocked at Lu Ming's strength at this time. They didn't know Gojo Satoru's true strength. They only knew that Lu Ming seemed to have the upper hand at the moment. Even though they were able to temporarily gain the upper hand against the world's #1 Jujutsu division, Lu Ming had already reached an unreachable height in their hearts. Lu Mingjun. You really surprised me. Gojo Satoru waved his hand and took the coordinated attacks from Lu Ming and Lizi without any discomfort. But the expression on his face became more playful. He hasn't fought seriously yet, but Lu Ming's ability to break the power of stopping has made him more interested. Next he has to be a little more serious. Teacher Gojo, there are many things that will surprise you. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth also raised slightly. It felt good to be able to hit Gojo Satoru. He felt that he was closer to the target. Although he will be able to observe Gojo Satoru using unlimited techniques in the future during the competition with the high school, but after all, it will still be a long time. He couldn't wait any longer. If the main line in the middle undergoes some changes that are beyond your ability due to your own appearance, then it will only affect your own plan. Therefore, Lu Ming would never miss the opportunity to learn the technique Shun Zhuan Kang in advance. Advertisement. Lu Ming once again controlled the Shikigami to attack Gojo Satoru. In fact, the teacher-student status of Lu Ming and Gojo Satoru determined the unfairness of this battle from the beginning. As Gojo Satoru's teacher, he has no hostility towards Lu Ming, so it is impossible for Gojo Satoru to fight Lu Ming with all his strength, nor to kill Lu Ming. As a student, Lu Ming has ulterior motives. All his attacks are aimed at making Gojo Satoru display unlimited techniques. Moreover, his attacks cannot harm Gojo Satoru at all, so he can attack with all his strength as he pleases. The more embarrassed you can make Gojo Satoru, the better. In this embarrassing situation, in order to maintain his teacher's demeanor, Gojo Satoru will show unlimited techniques to suppress Lu Ming. Those who are favored are always confident. In fact, if Gojo Satoru wanted to solve this situation of more and less, he could directly kill Lu Ming's Nu and Jade Dog instantly. It's easily possible with Gojo Satoru's abilities. However, Lu Ming knew that it was impossible for Gojo Satoru to do this. Gojo Satoru, as the representative of the Gojo family, is very familiar with the shadow magic of the old enemy Zenin family. He must know that once the Shikigami are destroyed, Lu Ming will not be able to summon these Shikigami again. Doing this would mean that Lu Ming would lose 2 attack methods forever. If Lu Ming is an enemy, there is nothing wrong with Gojo Satoru doing this. However, Lu Ming is currently his student, and the two are far from hostile, so Gojo Satoru will not think of weakening Lu Ming's strength. So it seems that the scene where Lu Ming suppresses Gojo Satoru is entirely because of Gojo Satoru's restraint on himself and Lu Ming's own lack of martial ethics. But the key point is that only Gojo Satoru and Lu Ming knew about this situation, and the 5 people watching had no idea at all. Advertisement: they could only see Gojo Satoru passive, and were silently shocked by Lu Ming's strength. Among the bystanders, only Ryomen Sukuna in Itadori Yuji's body showed disdain. "I'm really proud of my unwillingness to use my full strength." Sukuna's soliloquy aroused the interest of Itadori Yuji, and the other 4 people also subconsciously looked at the mouth on Itadori's face with doubts on their faces. Ryomen Sukuna in Itadori's body was a little too lazy to explain to the group, but thinking of the agreement he had made with Itadori Yuji before, he still opened his mouth to explain where Gojo Satoru left his hand. After listening to Sukuna's explanation, everyone understood Gojo Satoru's situation, and also understood that there should be no irreversible conflict between Gojo Satoru and Lu Ming. If Lu Ming was really an enemy, Gojo Satoru probably wouldn't hold back and consider him. Because his position was flexible enough and his bottom line was flexible enough, Lu Ming kept forcing Gojo Satoru with the idea that he would be a fool not to take advantage of it. He knew that this was a bit ungrateful, but the worst he could do was help the protagonists more in the future. Besides, he had already thought about it, and he would help Gojo Satoru avoid being cut in half by Sukuna. Lu Ming felt that compared to being cut in half in the future, Gojo Satoru would probably choose this battle to force him to get more out of him, right? Because the power of stopping has been analyzed by Lu Ming's 6 eyes, Gojo Satoru's strongest defense method is temporarily disabled. At this moment, Gojo Satoru began to take this battle seriously. However, even so, Gojo Satoru still did not use the art of reverse Ao. Faced with this situation, Lu Ming was not in a hurry, he had other trump cards. By exposing all his cards, he can surely force Gojo Satoru to use Ao, right? Lu Ming twitched his lips and launched another attack. Chapter 51 Teacher Gojo, I succeeded. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. This time, he chose to use himself and Lizi as the main attackers. Riko's powerful harmonic attack immediately attracted most of Gojo Satoru's attention. Lu Ming, on the other hand, secretly commanded Yu Quan and Nu, who were wingmen on the other side, to attack Gojo Satoru from behind. There were more people and fewer people. If he was dealing with other people, his opponent would definitely be in a hurry. But, unfortunately, the opponent is Gojo Satoru, who has 6 eyes and 360-degree vision. Gojo Satoru's attacks had already been seen by Yu Dog and Nu, and he had already taken precautions. However, Lu Ming didn't care about this, a smile flashed in his eyes. Sensing Lu Ming's smile, Gojo Satoru realized something was wrong. The moment he resisted Lizi, he heard Lu Ming groan. Hundog. Gojo Satoru immediately recalled what Fushiguro Megumi had described to him before. Lu Ming indeed had the ability to directly fuse 2 jade dogs into a mud dog. I was still a little forgetful and didn't take Jade Dog into my heart. He could ignore Jade Dog's attacks before, but Hun Dog has strength comparable to the special cursed spirit. If you don't have the power to stop, you should still respect it more or less. Teacher Gojo, I succeeded. Lu Ming said these exciting words at the moment when Hun Dog was about to attack. That's not necessarily the case. Advertisement. Gojo Satoru pointed his right hand back instantly, and a strong attraction suddenly broke out between Nu and Hunu. A Shikigami in the sky and a Shikigami on the ground collided with each other like magnets. Teacher Gojo, this time, I really succeeded. Close black lens bracket. Under the attack of Lizi, Nu, and Hundog, and under the stimulation of Lu Ming's words, Gojo Satoru still used the technique Shunren Kang. Lu Ming smiled slightly, his basic goal had been achieved. His 6 eyes had already begun to analyze Gojo Satoru's technique, and now it didn't matter even if he gave up. However, admitting defeat is not Lu Ming's style. It was a rare opportunity to fight against the strongest Jujutsu master. How could Lu Ming miss it? This is an existence even more powerful than the current Sukuna. He can defeat the 2-fingered Sukuna, but he certainly cannot defeat Gojo Satoru. Next, he wants to see how far he can push Gojo Satoru. He wanted to see how far he was from Gojo Satoru. After several more rounds of fighting, Lu Ming still overestimated his own strength. Looking at Gojo Satoru after using the technique Reverse Ow, he looked very helpless. Gojo Satoru was already extremely fast originally, but after using Ow, his speed could almost be considered as teleportation. Hun Quan and Nu have fallen under Kang's attraction and have completely lost their function as wingmen for Lu Ming. In this case, Lu Ming and Lizi were completely exposed to Gojo Satoru's attack. In fact, Lizi could only barely parry Gojo Satoru's attack and protect Lu Ming with all her strength. In the end, one person and one cursed spirit eventually became Gojo Satoru's sandbag. As this the strongest Jujutsu master, sure enough, I was still a little naive. At present, I only master half-baked shadow spells and unlimited spells, which is not enough to fight against Gojo Satoru. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Faced with such an absolute speed gap, Lu Ming was too lazy to use Cursed Spirit and the three brothers. Just like the future battle of Shibuya, if there hadn't been so much planning in advance, and if there hadn't been so many people hindering Gojo Satoru, it would have been impossible to hold Gojo Satoru back for so long with the help of Leaky Coral, Flower Control and Expansion Phase. Now, even if Lu Ming summons the three brothers and cooperates with Lizi, he still cannot hit Gojo Satoru. Rather than exposing more of his trump cards, Lu Ming felt that it would be better to focus all his energy on analyzing Kang. During this period of time, I try my best to analyze the techniques of using Kang. In the future, I will be able to use the technique in reverse sooner. Lu Mingjun, you can really use other shadow spells. Maybe, please use the spell Shunwan Kang. Otherwise, you won't even have a chance to touch me. Gojo Satoru's tone was very calm, just stating a fact. However, he didn't know that Lu Ming also wanted to use Kang Lai to keep up with Gojo Satoru's speed at this time. But, unfortunately, he doesn't have this ability yet. The ancestral techniques of the Big Three Sorcerer Families are still incomplete in his hands. After all, he is not the true descendant of the Big Three Sorcerer Families. Open black lens bracket. Next time, I will definitely let you, Mr. Gojo, experience my technique reversal. Close black lens bracket. Lu Ming's 6 eyes constantly captured Gojo Satoru's movements, while Lizi fiercely protected Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's mana power was still severely consumed as he continued to withstand attacks. With the current level of mana power, Lu Ming could support Lizi's existence for at most 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, it will be over. TCH, it's really a boring battle. Sukuna in Itadori Yuji's body let out a groan. Advertisement. This was the first time he had seen Gojo Satoru's strength. It had to be said that his current strength was indeed no match for Gojo Satoru. As Lu Ming said, Gojo Satoru is indeed the #1 Jujutsu master in the world. However, the battle before him was not the wonderful showdown he had imagined. Gojo Satoru did not use all his strength and held back on Lu Ming. And Lu Ming didn't use all his strength. He never used the 3 shadow special cursed spirits he summoned in his own domain. According to his observation, this battle is almost over. There was no hearty, all-out effort. The 2 people in the center of the battlefield had their own goals, and the whole battle was not pure at all. As he said, boring. Sukuna, why do you say that? Aren't the battles between Lu Ming and Mr. Gojo evenly matched? The Itadori Yuji trio are a little confused about Sukuna's comments. In their eyes, Lu Ming and Lizi were parrying Gojo Satoru's attack. Although Lu Ming was being beaten, there was no such thing as a defeat. Itadori's inquiry received no response from Sukuna. At this time, Sukuna no longer paid attention to Lu Ming's battle. He already knew the result and his consciousness had returned to Itadori's body. He was too lazy to open his mouth to comment on this battle. However, without Sukuna's explanation, Yaga Masamichi on the side also saw the ebb and flow of the battle situation. Lu Ming's curse power can no longer support the defense of the special cursed spirit. Even if Satoru doesn't use his full strength, he is still extremely powerful. Lu Ming has persisted so far and is already very good. Yaga Masamichi pointedly pointed out Lu Ming's current shortcomings, and the trio nodded thoughtfully. Chapter 52 The Secret of Lu Ming's Life Experience. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Ieri Shoko, a specialist physician at a high school, expressed her views from her professional perspective. Lu Ming's body is already covered in scars. Although his cursed spirit is protecting him, Satoru's attack does not mean that it cannot cause damage after being blocked. There is no need to wait until Lu Ming's spell power is exhausted. Lu Ming's own body will no longer be able to hold on. Ieri Shoko didn't like Lu Ming. From the moment she first met Lu Ming, she felt that Lu Ming would definitely become the opposite of the high school student in the future. Lu Ming would not be changed by Gojo Satoru, he would only go the way you want to go. However, even so, Ieri Shoko was still extremely shocked. What Lu Ming faced was not some crooked melon and cracked jujube. He was the strongest in the world. It was absolutely extraordinary to be able to persist for such a long time in the hands of Gojo Satoru. Just as Ieri Shoko said, Lu Ming's body has reached its limit. Lu Mingjun, it's over. Gojo Satoru's voice sounded in Lu Ming's ears. Lu Ming's expression froze, and Lizi's palm blocked Gojo Satoru's attack, but the powerful impact was still the last straw that broke Lu Ming's mind. A wry smile appeared on Lu Ming's face, and his tense nerves were completely severed. Teacher Gojo, you are indeed the strongest. These were the last words Lu Ming uttered before he fell into coma. Lu Ming was not dissatisfied at all after losing to the peak Gojo Satoru, and his goal had been achieved, right? His 6 eyes has completely completed the analysis of the technique Shunhuan Ang. Advertisement. The entire playground fell into silence. Lizi disappeared into Lu Ming's shadow, and Nu and Hun Quan also completely disappeared because they lost the support of Lu Ming's magic power. The battle between Lu Ming and Gojo Lu ended. Gojo Satoru didn't know whether he had defeated Lu Ming, but it was obvious that he might need other means to make Lu Ming reveal the secret of 6 eyes. After all, you can't be cruel. Gojo Satoru shook his head, carried Lu Ming to the edge of the playground, and handed it to Shoko. Shoko, take Lu Ming for treatment. Ieri Shoko nodded, expressing understanding, and silently took Lu Ming. Although she was a girl, as a master of reversal techniques, her strength was not inferior to that of men. She took Lu Ming directly and left. Itadori Yuji and Kujisaki Nobara started chattering around Gojo Satoru. Teacher, why are you and Lu Ming fighting? Is there something wrong with Lu Ming's identity? Sukuna mentioned 2 6 eyes before. Gojo Satoru's eyes were exactly the same as Lu Ming's. No matter how slow the two reacted, they realized that there was something wrong with Lu Ming's eyes. Gojo Satoru smiled. No problem, it's just that Lu Ming wants to test his own strength, so he wants to try the teacher's strength. Okay, Megumi, take Yuji and Wild Rose back, we have to continue studying tomorrow. Fushiguro Megumi nodded. He realized that Gojo Satoru didn't want to talk more about Lu Ming's identity, and directly cooperated to push Itadori Yuji and Kujisaki Nobara away, leaving space for Yaga Masamichi and Gojo Satoru. Gojo Satoru sat lazily on a chair next to the playground, and Yaga Masamichi's expression was very serious. What's going on with Lu Ming's 6 eyes? Isn't he from the Zenin family? Yaga Masamichi is a little confused. Advertisement. How could one person have Gojo's 6 eyes and Zenin's shadow spell? This is really unreasonable. If I knew the reason, I wouldn't have had this fight with Lu Ming just now. Gojo Satoru shrugged, a hint of suspicion flashing in his eyes. The existence of Lu Ming not only puzzled Yaga Masamichi, but also puzzled Gojo Satoru himself. At present, Lu Ming has 3 techniques. Even if he wants to believe Lu Ming, he has to think carefully about why Lu Ming can possess 3 techniques at the same time. Could it be that Lu Ming has some ability that can steal other people's spells? Although Gojo Satoru's thinking is a little biased, it is very close to the truth. However, before finding out the truth, Gojo Satoru was not prepared to reveal the information that Lu Ming also had unlimited skills. If there is no lower limit technique, then perhaps it can be said that Lu Ming's eyes are just a special color. If it is revealed that Lu Ming knows unlimited techniques, then Lu Ming is really a special being in the Jujutsu world. After all, Lu Ming's Lizi and Okkotsu Yūta's Li Shang can both be formed through external forces. This kind of protective cursed spirit is not considered a birth technique. Okkotsu Yūta also possesses the art of Rika, and Kazuki has the ability to imitate the art unconditionally. Then, it is not surprising that Lu Ming possesses the 10 kinds of shadow spells, Lizi and Shengdu. However, if Lu Ming possesses both unlimited and 10 shadow spells, then his existence is inconsistent with common sense. The most important thing is that Lu Ming actually has 6 eyes that can use unlimited spells. Even if Gojo Satoru is the strongest Jujutsu master, it is difficult for him to understand Lu Ming's body structure. Meanwhile, the Zenin family library. Advertisement. Zenin Naoto and Zenin Naohua are reading ancient books. Father, what are you looking for? We have been looking for 2 whole days. Zenin frowned, he had wasted 2 days in this vast family record. If you use this time to improve your own strength, you will more or less achieve something. He was very unhappy when he lost to Lu Ming in Sendai. In the past 2 days, he also thought about it carefully. He felt that Lu Ming had not defeated Ryomen Sukuna, who opened the field. After learning about the special nature of Itadori Yuji through the association, he felt that it was the special container of Itadori Yuji that helped Lu Ming control Ryomen Sukuna. Therefore, Lu Ming was able to break away from Ryomen Sukuna's domain at that time. However, Zenin Naohua is not the kind of person who never admits defeat. At least the special grade cursed spirit next to Lu Ming is indeed powerful enough. Just that special grade cursed spirit, Zenin Naohua knows that he cannot deal with it. However, this cursed spirit does not count as a magic spell. It's just that like Okkotsu Yūta, she was lucky enough to receive such a protective cursed spirit. If he only had the 10 shadow spells, Zenin felt that his projection spells would not be inferior to Lu Ming. Although the 10 shadow spells are the ancestral spells of the Zenin family, Zenin Naohua has actually always had an idea, which is to prove that the projection spell is more powerful than the 10 shadow spells. Therefore, he couldn't understand why his father wanted to waste his time here to find a bird named Zenin. Didn't I tell my father before that the name Zenin Asuka does not exist in the family tree? Why is my father so obsessed with finding the origin of this name when he hears Lu Ming mention it? Maybe it was just mentioned casually by Lu Ming. Chapter 53 Yeri Shoko's Attitude. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Zenin did not answer, still immersed in searching. Seeing that his father ignored him at all, Zenin Naohua looked very ugly. He threw the ancient books in his hands on the bookshelf and turned around to leave the library. He didn't care who Lu Ming was talking about, he was going to practice, and no one could stop him. Feeling Zenin Naohua's departure, Zenin Naohua shook his head silently and continued to read ancient books. He had an impression of the name Zenin. This was definitely not fabricated by Lu Ming. He had definitely seen this name in a book when he was a child. And this name is the key to unlocking Lu Ming's identity. 3 hours later, Zenin stared blankly at a broken diary, his eyes widening in an instant. Zenin Asuka was born in the 3rd year of Meiji. She also had another name in the Zenin family, Zenin Ayako. As the head of the Zenin family, Zenin was the chief priest of the annual sacrifices, and he knew the genealogy of the Zenin family very well. Zenin Ayako, my own heavenly grandmother. Next to the high school playground, Gojo Satoru leaned lazily on his chair and looked up at the sky. Yaga Masamichi stood aside. Suddenly, a cell phone rang, breaking the silence between the two. Gojo Satoru took out his mobile phone and glanced at the caller, with a trace of doubt in his eyes. Why would an old drunkard call me? Advertisement. For two people who basically have no major issues and no communication with each other, Gojo Satoru feels that his contact with Zenin seems to be a bit frequent recently. However, this time, since Zenin took the initiative to call, there must be something important. Gojo Satoru silently pressed the connect button and put the phone to his ear. Hey, old drunkard, what's the matter? Before Gojo Satoru finished speaking, the other person interrupted him with one sentence. I know the origin of Lu Ming. In the infirmary, Ieri Shoko looked at the unconscious Lu Ming with an expression full of indifference. Lu Ming's character is considered extremely bad by Shoko. From the beginning, she resisted Lu Ming's joining Jujutsu High School. It's not that she has no confidence in Gojo Satoru, but she feels that Lu Ming is more paranoid than Shayuja. Gojo Satoru can't change Shayuja, and he will definitely be powerless against Lu Ming in the future. The most important thing is that the potential harm of the person in front of him may be higher than Shayuja. This person not only possesses 10 shadow spells, but also possesses Gojo's 6 eyes. Although he did not see Lu Ming use unlimited techniques in the battle just now, Shoko suspected that Lu Ming might also possess unlimited techniques. The special grade cursed spirit serves as a guardian, plus 10 kinds of shadow spells and 2 kinds of magic spells with no lower limit. No matter how you look at it, Lu Ming shouldn't be a normal person. People with this status are usually villains in neon comics. Shoko looked at Lu Ming, who was lying unconscious on the bed, and lit a lady's cigarette for the first time in a long time. Lu Ming, kid, get up when you wake up. Why are you pretending to be asleep? Advertisement. Shoko folded her arms and leaned against the wall, puffing away inexplicably. Except for the sound of her breathing, the entire infirmary was eerily quiet. After a moment, a wry smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. Teacher Shoko, you can't smoke in public places, at least you should pay attention to my injury. Ieri Shoko held the cigarette between her slender fingers, walked to Lu Ming's side, and looked at Lu Ming's 6 eyes like a judge. On the way back with Lu Ming, she had already felt that Lu Ming was showing signs of waking up. He could withstand Gojo Satoru's attack for such a long time and still recover so quickly. It must be said that Lu Ming's physical fitness was beyond ordinary people. It is indeed exactly the same as Satoru's 6 eyes, there is no possibility of fraud. Close black lens bracket. Ieri Shoko's fingers with a faint smell of tobacco opened Lu Ming's eyelids and carefully studied Lu Ming's 6 eyes. Teacher Shoko, there is no doubt, this is 6 eyes. Lu Ming was very straightforward and was not going to hide anything. After all, after the battle just now, he could no longer hide 6 eyes. Why do you have 6 eyes? Ieri Shoko asked this casually, but she was not prepared to get the answer from Lu Ming and directly began to examine his body. Looking at Ieri Shoko's delicate face, a playful smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. This female member of the former protagonist trio also had a well-hidden presence. If the story of Jujutsu Kaisen started from the life of Gojo Satoru in high school, A girl like Ieri Shoko would be the perfect heroine template. Calm, thoughtful, and able to heal. The perfect wet nurse and intellectual responsibility. Teacher Shoko, this is the secret. Before Lu Ming could finish the word, secret, the severe pain from his chest and ribs directly interrupted his words. It hurts, advertisement, Teacher Shoko, it's broken there, don't press it. Lu Ming looked at Ieri Shoko with his hands on his chest with a grimace, and felt bad all over. Oh, sorry, the inspection was a bit hard. There was no expression on Ieri Shoko's face, as if she had just missed. Teacher Shoko, do you have a problem with me? I always feel that the teacher has something against me. Lu Ming was also a little curious when he felt Ieri Shoko repairing his wounds. In Tokyo Jujutsu High School, Shoko has the lowest sense of presence compared to the principal and first-year class teacher. He has basically never communicated with her before. Lu Ming doesn't know where Shoko's dislike for him comes from. Lu Ming's words did not have any impact on Ieri Shoko, who continued to repair Lu Ming's body expressionlessly. She was just a small medical teacher in a high school. Even if Lu Ming had any secrets, she couldn't solve them. Anyway, she had already reminded her in place. If Gojo Satoru could not solve the problem on his own and had an impact like Sha Yuja's, she could only watch silently. She is just an ordinary jujutsu master who is slightly good at reversal techniques. Seeing that Shoko remained silent, even though he was disgusted with himself, he still treated him. Lu Ming also gained a new understanding of this mature woman. She is worthy of being the heroine of the previous generation trio. Although Kujisaki Nobara's appearance is not bad, Lu Ming still feels that Ieri Shoko is more suitable for him. Maybe it's because Kujisaki Nobara is too young? Although his body looks about the same size as Itadori, Kujisaki and others, after all, he can be considered an old man from 150 years ago. There's nothing wrong with liking someone who's a little more mature, right? Realizing that Ieri Shoko was not willing to pay attention to him, Lu Ming stopped pestering him. Although he was very interested in Ieri Shoko, he would not think about this and that just after the battle with Gojo Satoru and before he recovered from his injuries. The most critical thing at the moment is to seize the opportunity to absorb and master the technique. Chapter 54 The Secret of Bloodline Previous chapter Next chapter. Advertisement, Lu Ming actually has such an identity. Okay, I understand. Gojo Satoru hung up the phone and let out a long sigh of relief. What did the Zenin family say? Yaga Masamichi frowned and asked. He felt that as the principal, he should also pay more attention to matters related to Lu Ming. Gojo Satoru stood up, stretched, put the blindfold back on, and looked down at Yaga Masamichi. The Zenin family found Lu Ming's identity information. Lu Ming is not from this era. He is from the Zenin family 150 years ago. He is the illegitimate son of the Zenin family. His name is Zenin Ming. Yaga Masamichi looked shocked. What? People from 150 years ago? Isn't that the Meiji period? He had already expected that Lu Ming was from the Zenin family, but he had no idea that Lu Ming was from the Meiji period 150 years ago. Lu Ming's appearance at this time showed no age at all. It should be that the body was frozen through some kind of magic. I have never heard of Lu Ming appearing before. It is very likely that he just woke up from the magic recently. Gojo Satoru made his own guess. However, he did not say it clearly. He suspected that Lu Ming had to enter the dormant state through special means because of the conflict between the spells in his body. Advertisement shadow spells and unlimited spells may have been mastered recently, so Lu Ming was able to successfully wake up. In this case, it can also explain why Lu Ming's shadow spell can only release Nu and Jade Dog, and the unlimited spell can only use the power of stopping. However, this is just Gojo Satoru's own speculation. He still has to communicate face to face with Lu Ming about the specific reasons. How is this possible after sleeping for 150 years? Yaga Masamichi still didn't believe it. Isn't Lord Tianyuan's immortality technique beyond other people's imagination? Since Lord Tianyuan can live for so long, then it shouldn't be particularly impossible for Lu Ming to do it for 150 years, right? Gojo Satoru's explanation immediately left Yaga Masamichi speechless. Lord Tianyuan is Lord Tianyuan, and Lu Ming is Lu Ming. How can Lu Ming be compared with Lord Tianyuan? However, he really couldn't refute Gojo Satoru's words. Then what happened to Lu Ming's 6 eyes? Satoru, if this is related to the secrets of the Gojo family, you don't have to tell me. After a long silence, Yaga Masamichi asked a question that was more important than Lu Ming's age. 6 eyes appeared on Zenin's family. This kind of thing is so unconventional. Although the Zenin family and the Gojo family are both one of the 3 major families, there are many conflicts between the 2 families. Each of them hopes that the other party's strength will decline, and it is best not to be able to compete with them. Faced with this topic, Gojo Satoru was silent for a few seconds, and finally told the truth about Lu Ming. 180 years ago, the Gojo family, the Kamo family and the Zenin family had a honeymoon period. Under the leadership of the Kamo family, the three major families conducted a marriage experiment, hoping to create a child with the blood of the three major families at the same time. Children in order to achieve the purpose of surgical reconstruction. Because the Kamo family is good at blood manipulation, the experiment at that time was approved by the other two major families. That experiment gave birth to 3 children with the blood of the 3 major families, and each of the 3 major families took 1 child for experimentation, training, but in the end, none of these 3 children were born with magic. Advertisement, moreover, none of them have lived past the age of 30. The marriage experiment was stopped because of this. Yaga Masamichi's face became more and more serious. Is Lu Ming the experimental child of the Zenin family? No, doesn't it mean that none of them have lived past 30? Gojo Satoru nodded and sighed. None of the 3 experimental children lived past the age of 30, but only the child from the Zenin family accidentally left an illegitimate child after he became an adult. This illegitimate child was named Zenin Ming. However, according to the records of the Zenin family at that time, Zenin Ming was not born with any technique. Now Zenin Ming changed his name to Lu Ming and lived for 150 years. Appearing in this era, he not only possessed 10 shadow spells, but also produced 6 eyes. What happened in this is what Zenin and I knew. Gojo Satoru himself did not expect that Lu Ming would have such a complicated identity, but at least Lu Ming did have the blood of the Gojo family, and his 6 eyes were also the 6 eyes of the Gojo family. If 6 eyes appears on someone who has nothing to do with the Gojo family, then Gojo Satoru will have to think carefully about how to deal with this person. Satoru, since Lu Ming has 6 eyes and the blood of the Gojo family, he has broken many laws of the Jujutsu world. Yaga Masamichi's expression became more and more serious. Will Lu Ming, who possesses 6 eyes, also be able to master your family's unlimited techniques? Yaga Masamichi felt that his guess was a bit bold. Everyone can only have one type of technique. This should be an iron rule in the world of Jujutsu. Even Gojo Satoru, the strongest Jujutsu master, only masters unlimited techniques. Lu Ming already has 10 kinds of shadow spells, so this pair of 6 eyes should only have basic insight functions, right? Advertisement. After Yaga Masamichi finished speaking, he didn't believe it. However, Gojo Satoru curled his lips in the next second and his body froze. Could it be? Gojo Satoru nodded. Lu Ming knows unlimited spells, so he has 2 kinds of born spells. The ancestral spells of the Gojo family and the Zenin family, Lu Ming knows them all. Yaga Masamichi's mouth opened wide, his eyes widened, and he stood stunned, his face full of disbelief. I didn't just make a baseless guess, I actually guessed the truth. Then, will Lu Ming also own Kamo? Yaga Masamichi couldn't imagine that if Lu Ming was the descendant of the experimental child, then he should also have the blood of the Kamo family. Since Lu Ming can possess 10 shadow spells and unlimited spells, why can't he master the Kamo family's red blood technique? Yaga Masamichi's speculation left Gojo Satoru silent. I've also suspected this, so I was testing it during the battle just now. However, Lu Ming didn't seem to be able to manipulate blood when he was injured. It seems that he shouldn't be able to do the red blood manipulation technique. Gojo Satoru gave his own conclusion, and Yaga Masamichi breathed a sigh of relief after hearing this. If Lu Ming really knows the red blood technique, then he can be regarded as mastering the secrets of the 3 major families in the Jujutsu world. Coupled with the special cursed spirit technique, Lizi, it was hard for him to imagine how powerful this Lu Ming would be. However, even if he doesn't know the red blood technique, Lu Ming is already a very terrifying existence at this time. Perhaps, Lu Ming is not Gojo Satoru's opponent now, but if Lu Ming is allowed to grow, his potential will undoubtedly exceed that of Gojo Satoru. Chapter 55 People 150 years ago. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Then what are you going to do? Yaga Masamichi stared at Gojo Satoru. Currently, Gojo Satoru has the strength to completely defeat Lu Ming, so if he wants to deal with Lu Ming, now is the best chance. Once Lu Ming is allowed to grow for a while, he suspects that Gojo Satoru may not be able to do anything to Lu Ming. Realizing the hidden meaning in Yaga Masamichi's words, Gojo Satoru smiled and shook his head. Teacher, I'm not afraid of a student. Although Lu Ming is over 100 years old, he is still my student after all. Although his behavior is deviant, at least he is on the right path. Trust me, teacher. Yaga Masamichi was silent for a long time and finally nodded. After all, Lu Ming didn't do anything extraordinary. If he was restricted in advance just because of his special status, it would be too unfair. Teacher, please don't spread the word about Lu Ming's unlimited skills. If others find out, it may cause unnecessary trouble. Currently Lu Ming only knows the power of stopping, and it is still very shallow. As long as Lu Ming's 6 eyes are not exposed, even if the technique is seen by others, they should not think of the unlimited technique. After all, the unlimited spell is not as eye-catching as the 10 shadow spells. Yaga Masamichi expressed his understanding. If Lu Ming can really stand in the position of the high school will have another newcomer who can be comparable to the special Jujutsu master. Medical room. Lu Ming, this is your identity, so do you have anything else to explain to me? Advertisement. Your 6 eyes belongs to the Gojo family, and your shadow magic belongs to the Zenin family. Your answer determines your own future. Gojo Satoru moved a chair to Lu Ming's bedside and sat on the chair, his expression still casual. However, the words he spoke made Lu Ming feel as if he was on trial like Itadori. Ieri Shoko on the side leaned her back against the wall, supported her right leg on the wall, and stood with her left leg, continuing to smoke a cigarette. After listening to Gojo Satoru's explanation, she finally understood where Lu Ming's sense of disobedience came from. It turned out that the boy whom he regarded as his student was actually over 150 years old, and he actually came from the Meiji era. Shoko's heart was also filled with shock. Lu Ming had so many secrets that even someone as calm as her was a little curious about him. Zenin's ringing. Lu Ming murmured this long-lost name, and his pair of 6 eyes looked at Gojo Satoru who was not sitting, and Ieri Shoko who was not standing. At the same time, the Natsu Yuja who was not walking appeared in his mind. Did your last cast of protagonists have too many personalities? Shoko stood there, looking like a tall egret. Gojo Satoru's sitting posture, well, he is so youthful, like a child. Of course, Lu Ming knew that compared with Gojo Satoru, he was actually not much better. Gojo-sensei, am I going to be judged by the Jujutsu world like Itadori? Lu Ming smiled and looked at Gojo Satoru lightly. Without the obstruction of glasses, Gojo Satoru could clearly see the emotions conveyed in Lu Ming's 6 eyes. When Lu Ming said these words, there was no worry or fear in his heart. In fact, Gojo Satoru could even see a hint of expectation in the pair of 6 eyes. You are really a madman, Lu Ming, you brat. Are you still looking forward to trial? Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Teacher Gojo, if my answer dissatisfies the Gojo family and the Zenin family, will the Gojo family pluck out my eyes, and will the Zenin family abolish my technique? Lu Ming exaggeratedly described his ending. Such a scene made Gojo Satoru and Ieri Shoko look confused. They really didn't know what was going on in Lu Ming's mind. Is this the thinking of the Neon people in the Meiji period? To be able to have such an exaggerated generation gap with their era. That's not true. The Gojo family is not that exaggerated. It's just that I want to get to know you, Lu Ming. As for the Zenin family, well, they are. Gojo Satoru explained. He didn't expect Lu Ming's persecution paranoia to be so serious. Was he so untrustworthy? Itadori Yuji was possessed by Sukuna, and she didn't do anything to him. However, what Gojo Satoru didn't know was that the information he told to shock Lu Ming surprised Lu Ming himself. It was also the first time that he knew that his cheap and scumbag father was actually the experimental child of the 3 major families. Lu Ming finally realized why he was able to survive the genetic experiment. It turned out that it was not because of his status as a time traveler, nor because of Lizi, but because his body really contained the blood of the 3 major families. Keswo's unexpected material filling made the genes of the 3 major families awaken in his body by accident. I was really lucky. It took me a full 150 years to finally complete the genetic harmonization of the 3 major families and master the techniques of the 3 major families. If he hadn't been nourished by Lizi for 150 years, if something had gone wrong during these 150 years, he would probably have died in that basement, right? Lu Ming let out a long breath. For the first time, he was somewhat grateful to his scumbag father for leaving him this body. Advertisement. In the process of Gojo Satoru's explanation, he was also thinking about how to make up reasonable reasons. Teacher Gojo, I really didn't expect you to be able to find my identity. It seems that the resentment I left for the Zenin family is really big enough. Lu Ming shook his head, his expression a little helpless. Although he did not hide anything about his identity, the Zenin family was able to find out his origin with the name Zenin Asuka. I have to say that the records of the Zenin family are quite complete. Lu Ming also didn't expect that an illegitimate child of the Zenin family would be recorded. That's right. Your special grade cursed spirit can put enough pressure on an old drunkard. Facing a person who is always ready to create another Zenin family, he must pay enough attention. Fortunately, there are no other Gojos in the high school. Otherwise, would I have to worry about you creating another Gojo? Facing Gojo Satoru's teasing, Lu Ming twitched his lips. Teacher Gojo is joking, but I don't dare. In front of Zenin Naobe, he could use Riko's power to show off his authority, but he didn't dare to say such things in front of Gojo Satoru. People will always be tough when they are confident. At least in this current world, no one can speak harshly in front of Gojo Satoru. Gojo Satoru smiled, his expression changing from casual to serious. So, please, Lu Ming-kun, Please share with us how you managed alive from the Meiji period to now. Chapter 56 Shoko's Sympathy Previous chapter Next chapter. Advertisement. Lu Ming nodded. In the past period of time, he had quickly thought of several reasons, but he finally decided to expose Kamo Xianlun's affairs half-truth and half-falsely. After all, since the Zenin family already knows his true identity, maybe the record will record that he and Kamo Xianlun were very close. Instead of being found out and not being able to explain clearly, it would be better to reveal your identity with all the lies. Anyway, I only assisted Kamo Xianlun in conducting the experiment on the cursed fetus 9-phase diagram, and I did not participate in other experiments. In this world line, although Kamo Xianlun is still the most evil jujutsu master, the 9-phase diagrams of the cursed embryo have not been discovered in this world, and they are still in their own shadow. Therefore, Lu Ming himself has nothing that can be caught by the Jujutsu Master Association. If I really want to talk about why I have been able to survive from the Meiji period to the present, I have to mention one person, and that is Kamo Xianlun. As soon as the words Kamo Xianlun came out, the expressions of Gojo Satoru and Ieri Shoko changed. They had thought that Lu Ming would give some weird reasons, but they never expected to hear this name from Lu Ming. Kamo Xianlun? Is it the worst jujutsu master in their memories? That's the one known as the most evil jujutsu master, Kamo Kenrun. Lu Ming's words confirmed the inner speculations of Gojo Satoru and Ieri Shoko. Lu Ming talked about how he was selected as an assistant by Kamo Xianlun to help him perform some tasks, and met Lizi during the experimental task. At the end of the experiment, Kamo Xianlun used me as a test subject. In order to confirm the power of Lizi and the cursed fetus 9-phase diagram, we were completely sealed off. Advertisement. At the end of the experiment, there was a conflict in the blood in my body, and I fell into a complete coma. For the next 150 years, it was Lizi who kept me alive until a few days ago, when I woke up from Sendai. You can go to the mountain in Sendai to confirm what I said. If it weren't for Itadori Yuji who broke the seal of Kamo Xianlun, I might still be sleeping. Lu Ming distorted the content of Kamo Xianlun's experiment to highlight the identity of the victim of his experiment. The whole process is full of details, so Gojo Satoru and Shoko can't find anything wrong. After all, this was a deed that happened more than 100 years ago, and no one can find anyone to verify it. As for the temple ruins mentioned by Lu Ming and the matters related to Itadori Yuji breaking the seal, Gojo Satoru will naturally confirm it later. Gojo Satoru and Ieri Shoko were shocked by the 9-phase diagram of the cursed fetus proposed by Lu Ming. Uraraka in Okkotsu Yūta has many stories and is very worthy of sympathy. However, compared with Lu Ming's Lizi, Li Shang seems to be too ordinary. A woman was discovered by Kamo Xianlun and became a test subject. Just because he was very interested in this woman's physique to be able to conceive a cursed spirit hybrid fetus, Kamo Xianlun actually conducted complicated experiments on this woman, making her pregnant 9 times and having 9 abortions. This kind of thing sounds extremely outrageous. Gojo Satoru and Ieri Shoko truly feel that Kamo Xianlun cannot be called a human being. Such behavior is no different from that of an animal. At the same time, the two also developed strong sympathy for Lizi. During his lifetime, he became a test subject and gave birth to a cursed fetus. After death, he became a cursed spirit and could only follow Lu Ming. What a tragic ending. Advertisement. After Lu Ming finished speaking, Gojo Satoru and Ieri Shoko were silent for a long time. After calming down, Ieri Shoko looked at Lu Ming and whispered, "Lu Ming, have you ever thought about letting Lizi become a Buddha? Now that Lizi has become a cursed spirit, she must be in pain, right?" As a girl, Shoko seems to be more able to empathize with Riko. Gojo Satoru seemed to have thought of something, and mentioned the experience of Okkotsu Yūta and Rika, hoping to give Lu Ming some direction. After Lu Ming listened to Gojo Satoru's story, he smiled bitterly and nodded to express his understanding. However, he knew that there was no way that Lizi would choose to become a Buddha. Lizi not only regards herself as her child, but most importantly, she also has 9 children waiting for her to take care of. 9 cursed fetuses, 9 cursed objects. As a mother, Lizi will never give up on protecting her children until she is sure that the 9 cursed fetuses can get the future they want. Seeing Lu Ming's troubled expression, Shoko thought it was because Lu Ming was unwilling to give up such a powerful guardian cursed spirit and was about to say something. However, Gojo Satoru stopped her. They don't know as much about Lizi's specific situation as Lu Ming, and they can't forcefully help Lu Ming and Lizi make decisions from their own perspective. Being blocked by Gojo Satoru, Shoko seemed a little disappointed. Riko's experience was too tragic. In her opinion, Riko's existence in this world for even one day would be extremely painful. Feeling Shoko's emotional fluctuations, Lu Ming knew that the impact of such a sinful experiment on Shoko was too great. To untie the bell, the person who tied the bell must be tied. In order to untie Shoko, Lu Ming used the newly recovered spell power in his body to barely summon Lizi out of the shadow. Bone-white Lizi appeared beside Lu Ming's bed. Teacher Shoko, I am not restraining Lizi. If possible, I am willing to let Lizi become a Buddha. Advertisement, however, Lizi has her own obsession and is not swayed by my will. Lu Ming was also full of sympathy for Lizi, and Lizi helped him a lot. If it weren't for Lizi, he wouldn't have survived this era. If possible, he hoped that Lizi could be freed. Although Lizi's departure will greatly reduce Lu Ming's strength, Lu Ming doesn't care. The worst thing is that he should be more careful in the early stage and not be as unscrupulous as he is now. As long as he completes the practice of the 3 major techniques, he will basically have no opponents in this world, so Lizi won't need to work so hard. Lu Ming's reaction surprised Shoko. Seeing Lu Ming so calm, Shoko's feelings about Lu Ming actually change. She silently walked to Lizi's side and wanted to get closer to Lizi, but Lizi's reaction was very fierce and she was unwilling to contact Shoko. Lu Ming endured the pain of broken bones and sat up, stroking Lizi's hard exoskeleton and softly comforted. Riko, it's okay. Teacher Shoko wants to talk to you. Lizi, don't get excited. Open black lens bracket hiss. Close black lens bracket under Lu Ming's comfort, Lizi managed to regain her composure. Shoko-sensei, that's all. Lu Ming covered the injured area, coughed twice, and made a gesture of please. Shoko had no idea that Lu Ming could be so gentle, and the softness in her heart was touched. She suddenly felt that Lu Ming was not as indifferent to everything as she imagined. Chapter 57 Lu Ming's Special Application Previous Chapter. Next chapter advertisement, open black lens bracket hiss. Close black lens bracket Ieri Shoko was very surprised by Lizi's reaction, but she also confirmed that there was nothing wrong with what Lu Ming said. Lizi indeed had her own obsession, and this obsession was so powerful that when she told him to become a Buddha, Lizi actually burst out with strong hostility towards her. If Lu Ming hadn't comforted her in time, she even suspected that Lizi would attack her. Looking at the somewhat disappointed Ieri Shoko, Lu Ming took Lizi back into the shadow. Teacher Shoko, that's the situation. Riko has her own ideas. Shoko, many times we don't need to impose our ideas on others. There is an old saying from China, I give it to you Shoko. You are not a fish, how to know the joy of fish. After speaking, Lu Ming reluctantly stood up. Teacher Gojo, if there is no problem, I will go back to the dormitory first. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Ming turned around and left the infirmary without paying any attention to Gojo Satoru's answer. This kid really has a personality. Advertisement. Seeing Lu Ming's leaving figure, a wry smile appeared on Gojo Satoru's face. Is Lu Ming really confident? Does he know that he will never do anything to him? Ieri Shoko stood next to Gojo Satoru and sighed. Although he came from 150 years ago, the total time he was actually awake was only a dozen years. Wu, as a teacher, you have to set a good example for Lu Ming. Regarding Lu Ming's complicated experience, Ieri Shoko suddenly understood Lu Ming's erratic stance and out-of-touch character. After all, Lu Ming was not from the same era as them. He lived in a feudal era like Meiji, and he was an illegitimate son of the Zenin family. He might not have been very happy throughout his childhood. Ieri Shoko and Gojo Satoru didn't know that Lu Ming was a time traveler, so after thinking about it from their perspective, they both sympathized more with Lu Ming's experience. Shoko, don't worry. Now that Lu Ming has joined the high school and become my student, I will help him integrate into this era. After all, he is also a bloodline of the Gojo family and a member of the Gojo family. Gojo Satoru showed a hint of amusement. Since the Zenin family doesn't cherish this result, then don't blame me, the representative of the Gojo family, for getting there first. Lu Ming is another jujutsu master with extraordinary potential. As long as he is bound to the Gojo family, if one day he is gone, Lu Ming can at least protect the Gojo family for a while. Gojo Satoru is self-aware of his own behavior style, and the Jujutsu Masters Association is often dissatisfied with his behavior. Just like the incident with Itadori Yuji, the senior leaders of the Jujutsu division still want to directly eliminate Itadori. If I hadn't firmly disagreed, the senior officials would definitely not have been willing to accept this plan due to their own strength. And once something goes wrong for him one day, Gojo Satoru knows that the people protected by his family, Itadori Yuji, the principal, and anyone who is disliked by the senior management of Jujutsu division may be liquidated. Advertisement before, his only choice was Okkotsu Yūta, a distant relative. As one of the 3 current special-level Jujutsu masters, Okkotsu Yūta might be able to help him take care of the people he protects. However, Okkotsu Yūta is the kind of person who follows the rules at heart and does not have the mentality to break the rules. If he is not being bullied, Okkotsu Yūta will usually not take the initiative. He is a passive person. Now, with Lu Ming as a closer blood relative, Gojo Satoru likes Lu Ming's personality even more, even though his character is a bit unpredictable. At least, Lu Ming's personality will not let others bully him, and this self-centered personality will make him take the initiative in everything he does. Under the same situation, Gojo Satoru had a hunch that Lu Ming and Okkotsu Yūta would make completely different choices. It looks a lot like me. Close black lens bracket. Gojo Satoru raised the corners of his mouth slightly and nodded calmly. He really felt that Lu Ming was very similar to his younger self, and he also believed that young Lu Minghui had his own persistence. I will help Lu Ming apply for the status of a special Jujutsu master, and I will also endorse Lu Ming. Shoko, please pay more attention to Lu Ming in the future. After all, he came from 150 years ago. In the past few days since he woke up, he has only known Itadori and the other three. Maybe Lu Ming is also uneasy about this completely different era, right? To be honest, I am shocked that Lu Ming can integrate into the new era so quickly. Ieri Shoko nodded slightly. As a medical professional, Shoko also serves as a health teacher for 3 grades. She also has her own responsibilities regarding students' mental health. But will the association really approve Lu Ming's application as a special level Jujutsu master? Satoru, even if it were you, the association wouldn't approve it so easily. After all, Okkotsu Yūta spent so much time in his special status. Advertisement. Ieri Shoko pursed her lips slightly, with some worry in her eyes. However, Gojo Satoru is full of confidence in this. Yūta is because his sense of presence is too low and he is too passive, so that the association's senior management feels that they can take some control. With Lu Ming's character, he will not suffer easily. And, this time, I'll let the old drunkard help me. After all, Lu Ming is not only a member of the Gojo family, but also a bloodline of the Zenin family. His real name is Zenin Ming. Listening to the words, Zenin Ming, Shoko was a little distracted. But wasn't Lu Ming very unhappy with the Zenin people before? Would the Zenin family support this kind of thing? After all, this is a special level Jujutsu master who can change the entire Jujutsu world. Ieri Shoko was already a little skeptical. Gojo Satoru heard this and smiled softly. Shoko, then you are looking down on the Zenin people. Why do you think the Zenin people told me about Lu Ming's identity? He undoubtedly wants to drag me into trouble, and wants me to change Lu Ming's attitude towards the Zenin family. Therefore, when it comes to Lu Ming's application for a special Jujutsu master, the Zenin family will not only not get in the way, but will definitely also give strong support. Gojo Satoru thought about Okkotsu Yūta's stumbling when he was promoted to special level last year and shook his head. With my endorsement and the support of Zenin's direct neighbors, even if the senior management wants to stop it, they don't dare to do it too obviously. After all, as long as the name Zenin Ming is reported, the senior executives will have to weigh it. Although I really dislike the Zenin family's behavior, I have to say that the Zenin family still has some energy in the entire Jujutsu world. Since Jia's death, there are only 3 of the 4 special Jujutsu masters left. With Lu Ming's strength, it is more than enough to fill this position. Chapter 58. The Road to the Future. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. A wry smile suddenly appeared on Gojo Satoru's face. Shoko, don't think that just because Lu Ming lost to me, you think he might be weaker than Yūta. With Lu Ming's character, he must have other trump cards, and he will not give us all the initiative. Even I doubt that if what I just said was to restrict his actions, this brat mighty will immediately break into a rage and escape. Even if he can't defeat me, he should have a way to escape. Ieri Shoko was speechless. Although she had some doubts, she had to say that Lu Ming was indeed like what Gojo Satoru said. Just after returning to the dormitory, Lu Ming heard a dong 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 knock on the door. Without opening the door, Lu Ming knew it must be Itadori and the others. Opening the door, Itadori Yuji, Fushiguro Megumi and even Kujisaki Nobara appeared outside Lu Ming's door. Hi, Lu Ming. Can we come in? Itadori Yuji spoke awkwardly. They were full of curiosity about the battle between Lu Ming and Gojo Satoru. However, neither the principal nor teacher Shoko wanted to say anything more, so they could only find Lu Ming in an attempt to get some useful information from Lu Ming. Can I refuse? Lu Ming's expression was very helpless. He was a wounded person and should have a good rest. However, the trio are already outside their door, and the curiosity in their eyes is so strong that they may not be able to sleep tonight unless the doubts in their hearts are resolved. No, Lu Ming. Advertisement. Kujisaki Nobara loudly refused, while Itadori Yuji and Fushiguro Megumi nodded in agreement with Wild Rose's words. Then you still ask me? It's unnecessary. Lu Ming curled his lips, turned sideways, and let the 3 of them enter his room. Isn't this polite? Itadori Yuji laughed, and after entering the room, he looked around. This was the first time he entered Lu Ming's room, and everything felt very strange to him. Although the layout of their rooms is similar, the entire style of Lu Ming's room is completely different from that of him and Fushiguro Megumi. The decoration style of the entire room has a simple feel. Apart from the sockets on the wall, there is basically nothing modern. Whether it's cabinets, beds, tables, chairs or benches, they all have an old-fashioned feel. Anyway, it doesn't look like the style that the city of Tokyo should have at all. On the contrary, it is more like the room layout of those old times in Kyoto. The modern school uniforms that the three of them wore did not match the style of the entire room at all. On the contrary, the kimono-style uniforms that Lu Ming modified himself were very harmonious with the decoration of the entire room. However, the Itadori trio also had to admire Lu Ming's mental strength. If it were not a major festival, they would feel very social if they were allowed to just wear kimonos and walk on the street. In the current neon scene, except for days like the fireworks festival or Bon festival, girls may wear yukata on the streets. At other times, basically no one will wear such simple style clothes. They didn't know why Lu Ming had such a hobby, but since Lu Ming made this choice, they could only silently support him. However, outside, they still thought it would be better to stay as far away from Lu Ming as possible. This high school uniform that combined a kimono and a hunting suit was usually too eye-catching. Advertisement. Feel free to sit down. Lu Ming turned around and poured water for the three of them before lying back on the bed. I am a patient now. Teacher Shoko asked me to get more rest, so you should go back as soon as possible after visiting the patients. Lu Ming set the pace. He didn't want to face the endless questioning from the Itadori trio. When the three heard this, they also reacted. Lu Ming had fallen into a coma during the battle with Gojo Satoru before. A battle of that level was indeed very exhausting. The three of them nodded at the same time, and without saying any more nonsense, they directly asked why the previous conflict occurred between Lu Ming and Gojo Satoru. Looking at the three curious babies in front of him, Lu Ming knew that unless he solved the doubts in their hearts, these three people would not let him sleep well. He pointed to his eyes and said to the three people, "When you just fought, did you know that these eyes are the same as Mr. Gojo's?" The three nodded sharply. Sukuna said this is a pair of 6 eyes, or there will only be one pair of 6 eyes in an era. Itadori Yuji answered. Lu Ming nodded. This is indeed the 6 eyes of the Gojo family. Therefore, as the representative of the Gojo family, Mr. Gojo will take the initiative to understand my situation. Speaking, Lu Ming looked at Fushiguro Megumi. After all, in the eyes of Mr. Gojo, I should be the same as Megumi, a bloodline of the Zenin family. The Zenin family owns 6 eyes of the Gojo family. If Mr. Gojo doesn't investigate this matter clearly, his acting as a proxy will be a bit dereliction of duty. Advertisement. Lu Ming briefly explained the situation. He did not tell many details, and there was no need to tell the Itadori three. The purpose of the trio coming here was not just to satisfy curiosity, but more to worry about whether there was any conflict between Lu Ming and Gojo Satoru. Now after Lu Ming's explanation, they were relieved. However, after solving their doubts, the three of them were only shocked by Lu Ming's strength. Lu Ming's previous opponent was, after all, the strongest teacher Gojo Satoru. Except for Fushiguro Megumi, Kujisaki Nobara from the countryside and Itadori Yuji, who is new to the world of Jujutsu, have learned some things about Gojo Satoru in the past few days. For Gojo Satoru, who has a somewhat frivolous personality, they have a new understanding of strength. And Lu Ming has persisted in Gojo Satoru's hands for such a long time. The trio all realized why Gojo Satoru chose Lu Ming as the squad leader. The strength gap between Lu Ming and the three of them is probably wider than they imagined. After a brief chat, Itadori Yuji and the other three chose to leave, and Lu Ming finally had some free space to think about the current situation. He lay quietly on the bed, analyzing the current situation. Judging from Gojo Satoru's attitude towards him, he was a little surprised that the strongest Jujutsu master did not receive any special treatment because of his 6 eyes. Thinking that he also had the blood of the Gojo family, Lu Ming roughly guessed what Gojo Satoru was thinking. He treats the Gojo family, the Zenin family, and the Kamo family equally. As a time traveler, the blood in his body is just a carrier for his own magic. If he comes to an opposing position with Gojo Satoru and Zenin in the future, he will not be swayed by the blood of his body. His consciousness and thoughts are the core of who he is as Zenin Ming. Chapter 59. The mission of the juvenile home begins. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. After exposing his identity this time, for Lu Ming, the biggest bug in his life has been eliminated. Throughout the conversation, Gojo Satoru did not reveal that he had unlimited skills, which made him less attractive to outsiders. Once you have completely mastered the technique of Shunwan Kang, everything will be much better. At that time, at least in terms of speed, I should be able to barely compete with the fastest Gojo Satoru. If you can't fight, can't you run away? Time, as expected, time is not on my side. Enter the main story just after waking up. If you had woken up 10 years in advance and mastered the 3 major techniques directly, you don't have to worry about this and that now. You can just finish the clown Sukuna and Kensuo and get to the finale directly. Close black lens bracket. Perhaps we should find an opportunity to go to Kyoto High School to exchange and learn? Lu Ming was very interested in the red blood manipulation technique mastered by Kamo Noritoshi at this time. Currently, there are only 2 ways for him to learn red blood training. One is Kamo Noritoshi from Kyoto High School, and the other is through the expansion phase after completing the physical training. However, it is said that there are 2 ways, but in fact it is only Kamo Noritoshi. After all, no matter how confused Lu Ming's position is, he will not turn his bulging flesh into cursed spirit in order to learn the red blood technique. Nishi Tokyo AG Juvenile Home, over the sports field. Special grade imaginary wraith, name undecided. Several non-jujutsu masters witnessed the cursed fetus. After receiving this news, Yaga Masamichi knew the importance of the matter and prepared to communicate with Gojo Satoru to solve it. But Gojo Satoru's phone never got through. Advertisement. In the end, the association issued a clear order, and Yaga Masamichi had no choice but to accept it. This time the juvenile home eradication operation will be carried out by 4 first-year high school students without the leadership of a teacher. At the entrance of Nishi Tokyo AG Juvenile Home, light rain was falling, and a person in a suit was waiting silently. Our window confirmed the cursed fetus situation about 3 hours ago. When evacuation guidance reached 90%, the facility was sealed based on on-site judgment. All residents within a radius of 500 meters have completed their evacuation. Beside the grim-faced man in the suit, Lu Ming and the Itadori trio were silently listening to the relevant information. Lu Ming touched his chin, a little surprised. He didn't expect to enter the first event of the main plot so quickly. This juvenile hall incident should also be the time when Itadori Yuji and Sukuna made a contract, right? The school was really relieved and handed the 3 Itadoras directly to me. Close black lens bracket. Lu Ming smiled. He was looking forward to the cursed spirit this time. If he remembered correctly, the cursed spirit this time was also a special grade 1. After obtaining its power, it can be regarded as helping the 9-phase diagram to grow again. Compared with Lu Ming's calmness, Itadori Yuji was in the excitement of performing a formal extermination operation for the first time. Mr. Ijichi, I have a question. Window, what is the window you just mentioned? Itadori Yuji raised his hand and asked the doubts in his heart. Kujisaki Nobara frowned at this, but she also knew that Itadori Yuji was a newcomer and would be a little curious about many unknown things. Advertisement Ijichi, wearing square glasses, answered seriously. The window is a person related to the high school who can visually observe curse, but he is not a jujutsu master. That's it. Itadori Yuji suddenly realized. Yuji, if you have any questions later, let's ask them together later. Don't interrupt Mr. Ijichi, let's get a full understanding of the entire mission first. After Lu Ming opened his mouth, Itadori Yuji immediately shut up. Ijichi nodded and glanced at Lu Ming. He had also heard about this student with a special name. The person in front of him, Gojo Satoru, had told him that his strength was trustworthy. I don't see anything special, but no matter how strong he is, he can't be better than Okkotsu Yūta, the first-year student from last year, right? Close black lens bracket. Because he had witnessed the power of Okkotsu Yūta with his own eyes, it was difficult for Ijichi to compare the kimono man wearing sunglasses in front of him with Okkotsu Yūta. However, out of his trust in Gojo Satoru, he still expressed the respect that a strong man should have. Then I'll continue. The second dormitory for those who are being tortured. The 5 inmates are staying there together with the cursed fetus. According to Window's prediction, if the cursed fetus develops completely, it may eventually become a special level cursed spirit. After Ijichi finished speaking, the 3 Itadori fell into silence. During this period of study, Itadori Yuji has also understood the true strength of the special cursed spirit. In other words, what they are about to face this time is a being on the same level as the cursed spirit they encountered in Sendai before. Itadori Yuji still has vivid memories of the scene that night. Fushiguro Megumi, the strongest among the 3 of them, is no match for the special grade cursed spirit. Although Itadori feels that he is stronger than before, and there is Kujisaki Nobara among his companions, he still feels that against the special grade cursed spirit is somewhat difficult. The special grade cursed spirit cannot be eliminated even by cluster bombs and carpet bombing. Advertisement, special grade cursed spirit, generally jujutsu divisions of the same level as cursed spirit should be sent to perform tasks. Fushiguro Megumi explained for Ijichi. But Mr. Gojo is on a business trip, so he cannot participate in the operation this time. Teacher Gojo is half banned. If Gojo Satoru takes action in everything, how will you, the protagonists, have any chance to grow up? Close black lens bracket. Lu Ming smiled and complained in his heart. I don't know, When will I take up my position? Close black lens bracket. Aijichi coughed slightly, with a wry smile on his face. Unfortunately, understaffing is the norm in this industry, and we often receive overwhelming work. However, this is an emergency and unusual situation. Absolutely no fighting. When encountering a special level, you only have the choice of escape or death. Just listen to your fears. Don't forget, your mission is only to identify and rescue survivors. The Itadori Yuji trio were infected by Aijichi's seriousness and realized the importance of this situation. Seeing Itadori, the three of them had solemn expressions, and Aijichi also breathed a sigh of relief. The people in front of him were students of Gojo Satoru, and he didn't want any accidents to happen to them. On the other hand, Lu Ming on the side made Aijichi feel that he was a little too plain. Is this Lu Ming not worried at all about the existence of the special cursed spirit? But fortunately, Lu Ming is here this time. Itadori Yuji realized that Lu Ming was beside him and he breathed a sigh of relief. Otherwise, he would have been a little nervous if the three of them had to face the special cursed spirit. Chapter 60 Conflict of Concepts. Previous chapter advertisement. Huh? Aijichi was a little surprised. Could it be that he didn't explain the strength of the special cursed spirit clearly just now? Why does Itadori Yuji feel that Lu Ming can be relieved if he is here? After seeing Fushiguro Megumi's somewhat relaxed expression, Aijichi became even more curious about Lu Ming. Even Okkotsu Yūta had never encountered such a powerful cursed spirit when he went on a mission for the first time. Aijichi was a little worried in his heart. He felt that Itadori Yuji and Fushiguro Megumi seemed to underestimate the existence of the special cursed spirit. The strength of the special cursed spirit cannot be underestimated. If you encounter a fully developed cursed fetus, you... Aijichi then explained two more sentences, trying to increase the attention of Itadori and Yuji, but was directly interrupted by Itadori. Mr. Aijichi, don't worry, we understand. Prioritize the safety of personnel, right? Understand and understand, we will not forget it. Right, Lu Ming? Seeing Brother Huzzy so relaxed, Lu Ming smiled slightly. He really doesn't care about a special level, but he is not a nanny. Although there is a demand for special level cursed spirit, he is still willing to give Brother Huzzy a chance to grow. Therefore, he will not take action easily unless necessary. Seeing Lu Ming's smile, Itadori Yuji immediately felt relieved. Although Mr. Gojo was not here, with Lu Ming here, he immediately felt confident. It's a pity that he doesn't know that his classmate Lu Ming, who has the confidence to do so, wants to watch with cold eyes until the end and then take the lead. Suddenly, there was a noise from the side. Don't come over, please stay back, please stay back. Uniformed staff were standing aside. Is my son Ajung okay? A woman stared blankly at the juvenile correctional facility, her face full of fear. Advertisement, please calm down, it's dangerous here, please stay back. The staff was still blocking her, and Itadori Yuji looked at the lost mother, feeling a kind of sympathy in her heart. This woman needs help. Aijichi walked up to the Itadori trio and explained in a low voice. This lady is the guardian who came to meet. After saying that, Aijichi turned to look at the woman with a serious expression, and said in a deep voice. Please go back. It is now suspected that someone has poisoned the facility, and we cannot disclose more information for the time being. After hearing this, the woman's face changed, tears instantly flowed out, and she collapsed and squatted on the ground. Why did this happen? Looking at his mother who covered her face with her hands and cried bitterly, a trace of determination appeared on Itadori Yuji's face. Lu Ming, Fushiguro, Kugazaki, let's go rescue people. Seemingly infected by Itadori Yuji, Fushiguro Megumi and Kujisaki Nobara nodded slightly. Haha, Yuji, did you remember incorrectly what Mr. Aijichi told us about the mission? In my opinion, the goal of this mission is just to confirm the safety of personnel. Saving people is not our task at all. Lu Ming's voice came suddenly, and at this moment, he seemed particularly cold. Lu Ming? What are you talking about? Shouldn't we save these ordinary people? Isn't this our responsibility? Brother Hu Zi possesses the unique kindness of the protagonist, and in this case, he also shows special charm. However, Lu Ming is not a normal person and will not be affected by Itadori Yuji's protagonist aura. Yuji, have you forgotten where this place is? This is a reformatory for juvenile delinquents. The people here are all criminals, but because they are not old enough, they can only be locked up here. In name, they are being educated, but in fact they are incarceration. Advertisement, you know, the person you want to save may have 1 or even 2 lives in hand. Do you think it's necessary to spend time saving such a person? Lu Ming's words made Itadori Yuji fall into silence for a short time. After Lu Ming's reminder, he realized the nature of this place. But even so, Itadori Yuji's expression remained firm. Humans die at the hands of cursed spirit. This is not the right way to die. Seeing that Itadori Yuji seemed ready to argue with Lu Ming, Fushiguro Megumi stepped in to stop him. He has a better relationship with Itadori Yuji, but, at least at this moment, he agrees with Lu Ming's point of view, especially the teisho in this woman's mouth. According to the information provided by Aijichi, he had driven without a license twice and killed a girl. Twice represents no repentance. Focusing on such scum only makes their task more difficult. However, Lu Ming had finished speaking, so he didn't want Itadori to feel isolated anymore, so he just smoothed things over. The most important task at the moment is to enter the juvenile home first. The longer we delay, the lower the probability of survival of the people inside. Fushiguro Megumi acted as a lubricant and temporarily resolved the conceptual conflict between Itadori Yuji and Lu Ming. The four of them gathered their spirits and officially entered the juvenile home. Born from darkness, darker than black. The filthy residuals are all exorcisms. As Aijichi recited the tent incantation, the sky suddenly seemed to be flowing with filth, slowly spreading downwards. As the black mud surged, the surrounding sky was completely shrouded. Advertisement: this layer of black mud completely isolated the juvenile correctional facility. As soon as he entered the reformatory, the dull and big-hearted Itadori Yuji was immediately attracted by the black mud surrounding him. It's dark? Kujisaki Nobara didn't expect that Itadori Yuji had never even seen the account, and he just wanted to explain. Lu Ming on the side had already taken the lead in speaking. This is a tent that is invisible to ordinary people. It is equivalent to covering up our actions. Oh, that's what it does. Itadori Yuji nodded and entered the world of Jujutsu, seemingly meeting new things all the time. Oh, by the way, Fushiguro, Yuji and Wild Rose, let me tell you that the cursed fetus in the correctional institution has hatched, so we will definitely have to face the special cursed spirit next. Lu Ming brought bad news to the trio with a normal expression. Itadori and the other three suddenly changed their expressions when they heard this, and Mr. Aijichi's words were immediately remembered by them. Absolutely no fighting. When encountering a special level, you only have the choice of escape or death. Just listen to your fears. Before, Itadori Yuji was still lucky in his heart. He thought that maybe this thing called the cursed spirit might not have hatched yet, and they could rescue all the target people before the special cursed spirit was born. Now, before the mission has even started, Lu Ming tells them that there is a special cursed spirit? So according to Aijichi, should they still carry out this mission? Seeing the three of them fall silent, a playful expression appeared on Lu Ming's face.